If you are speaking this evening, we ask that you please sign in. We also ask that you please direct all comments, questions, and concerns to this board. If you need to discuss any matters to one another, take it in the hallway. Unfortunately, it interferes with our opportunity to hear those that are speaking. And as always, we're going to be courteous to one another. We're going to start first by opening the meeting. So a motion to open, please.
I make a motion that we open the meeting of the Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation for May 17th, 2015.
27th.
What? Oh,
May
27th.
27th.
Sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to the May 27th, 2015 meeting of the Architectural Board of Review and Historic Preservation. My name is Curtis Highsmith, and I am the chair. I'd like to introduce our panel. We have Brian Brady, Christina Redding, Esther Pastor, Ham Hogue. Unfortunately, our historic consultant, Zach Studenroth, will not be here this evening. We would like to welcome our legal counsel, Bo Robinson, and as always, Antoinette, we welcome you as well. We're going to start this evening's meeting with sign and first application.
Heidi
Sure.
Klein,
Well,
It has been
adjourned.
adjourned.
Okay, was it adjourned before, per this date?
Yes.
There was a date. I just had
I don't recall a
June
date.
22nd.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the applicant's request to adjourn until the 22nd.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant Rite Aid at 82 Nugent Street request to adjourn to our next meeting on the 22nd.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next application, please.
Heidi Klein,
Is the applicant present? Please step forward. Hi, your name for the record.
April Bennett.
Okay. It's just a sign that's over the window. It's going to be facing the alleyway as well as Job's Lane, correct?
There's two signs. Yeah.
Two signs. White background, gold lettering.
Yes.
This is the correct font that's being displayed. I know it's kind of hard to see, but what you
Yes.
presented. Pam, do you have any questions?
No issues.
Esther?
Fine.
Christine?
No.
Brian?
That's fine.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the storefront sign application for Heidi Klein at 46 Job's Lane.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck. Next application, please.
Next application is Todd Merrill and Associates, 18 Jobs Lane.
Hi.
I'm Lauren Merrill.
Okay, the application, is it for the sign, awning, and the two decals on both?
Yes, that's correct.
Is there any lettering or writing on the awning itself?
No, there's not.
I see that it is retractable, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
Shoes. Is it
Any
shoes?
lanterns, lights, or any type of illumination on the signs?
No.
No. Okay. Any questions? Ham?
No.
Esther?
Fine.
Christine?
Very tasteful.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the storefront and window and awning, we're doing all three.
Yes.
Application at 18 Job's Lane for Todd Merrill and Associates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next application, please.
Gold Coast Bank, 97 North Sea Road.
3 storefronts
Three
Three
storefront
separate
signs.
ones on the building.
Your name for the record.
Kevin Going.
The signs you're proposing, would there be any lanterns or backlit lit sign?
No,
No lanterns at all?
none.
Okay. No illumination, nothing pointing to, no goose down lanterns?
None.
White background, gold lettering with a blue bank and the logo, correct?
Yes.
Was signed off by Code Enforcement Board, just in case of, if there are any questions. Ham, do you have any comments?
No.
Esther? No. Christine?
No.
Brian?
It's fine.
Okay. Any public comment on the application? Gold Coast Bank. Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the application at 97 North Sea Road for Gold Coast Bank. It's 3 storefront signs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too. Next application, please.
Next application is Kyle Aline 2, 5 Main Street for an awning sign.
Stacy Menzer, Hampton Signs.
White background, white, black lettering.
I believe it was white lettering on a dark background. Is that what you have there?
That's not what I have here.
Then I guess it is a dark background, a white with black.
Okay, white background, black lettering.
Okay,
Is that a yes or no?
yes,
Okay. Is this the appropriate font that you're proposing?
yes. I assume, I see
Do you
that?
have a copy of your
I
application?
do, is that what it looks like?
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
My challenge with this is it states green awning. But
Dark
the
green?
But the background showing as a white background.
Okay, I think in fact it is a dark awning with white lettering. I belielieve that's what it is.
You want clarification?
Okay, it will be a dark awning with white lettering.
Dark, meaning black, white, green.
Does it say on the
Purple.
application? We're doing the application for the owner of the store who has submitted the application. So I'm here just representing them this evening.
Okay.
What I was told was that it is
Challenge
white.
is you don't seem familiar with the application, so we don't know what dark means. Is it green? Is it blue? Is it black?
I was hoping that it would say on the application itself.
Saying it and showing a representation, there's no color of the swatch, there's nothing
Does it say-
indicating.
if
It says green, it says white lettering green, but it's not being displayed as that on the photo here. We have no coloring, we have no sample, we have no sample in terms of the lettering.
I believe it is a dark green awning with white lettering.
I believe you should get a little more information, and I believe that we should at least have a swatch or a sample of that so we know for a fact what the material will be. But unless the board feels any different. Brian?
No, I think we should make sure it's done the correct way.
Christine?
No, we need clarification.
Esther?
I agree.
Ann?
Ditto.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any public comment on the application before we close? Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the sign application at 3 Main Street for Kyle and Aline 2.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Next application,
DeVito and Company for a contractor sign.
was that adjourned? I have
see it
adjourned. I'm sorry?
I don't see it adjourned on my,
Adjourned? Do you have
I have it
that?
adjourned on my agenda here,
You
so
have a new agenda. then.
I was special, I guess.
You have the
Is the applicant present? Well, that would be an indication they wanted to adjourn. Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant DeVito and Company, Inc. request to adjourn to our next meeting for their contract to sign.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Next application, please.
Flywheel Sports.
Is the applicant present? Motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn the sign application at 33 Hill Street for Flywheel Sports.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Next application, please.
Escal Paris, 68 Jobs Lane.
Stacy Menzer, Hampton Signs.
White background, blue lettering.
Yes,
Is the appropriate, correct?
Yes.
Font. Will there be any lanterns, lighting,
there will not.
any backlit?
There will not.
Is there any storefront signage that's going to be on the window or door or any decal?
There will not, but there is a second sign that is on the side of the building. That's 18 by 18. That will go in the alleyway.
Okay, so that's what you superimposed on the side here in the alleyway. Is that what you're?
Right.
Brian, comments?
I don't have any issues with it.
Christine?
No, I'm fine with that.
Esther?
No problem.
Ham?
No.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the sign application at 68 Job's Lane for Escal Paris.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next application, please.
KES 38 Jobs Lane for a storefront sign. Yes.
I just have the photo in my phone. I'm not the person, like, I'm not the designer, so I just represent the company. So, what kind of information do you guys need?
Okay, question, is this what's being proposed?
Yeah, that's the logo.
Okay, what does it say?
KES.
Yeah, that's what that says?
Yeah, that's the logo. I can show you a better photo. That's the logo in
Well,
black and
the
white.
challenge is that I can't take your photo and make it part of the file.
Okay.
I would need to see a copy as part of the file and a better representation of that. And you're saying that this is the actual sign that you're producing?
Yeah, but it's white letters. So, I think this is a black and white copy.
Okay, I think we need more detail.
It's just that the negative is not coming out.
It's not
the
coming out at
negative,
all.
yeah.
Is there a way you can get us a better detail at our next meeting?
In the next meeting. When is going to be the next meeting?
Next meeting will be June,
28th.
sorry?
June 8th.
June 8th.
June 8th. Okay, perfect. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
thank
the same
you.
time?
Sorry?
Same time?
Same time.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Well, it will be Monday, not, this is a rare, because of Memorial Day, we had the we had the date changed until Wednesday. Typical meetings are on Monday, so it will be Monday.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Very well. Any public comment before we proceed? Anything further from the board?
No.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application of KES for their storefront sign at 38 Job's Lane.
Second.
All in favor? Next application, please.
Churco 268 Elm Street.
Is the applicant present?
That's the restaurant.
I know. I hope they're here. I want to approve it.
The sign is up already,
Sign's up
actually.
already.
What do you mean the sign is up
The
already?
sign is up already.
I want them to
These
open.
guys are up.
They're open.
Are they? Yeah.
Are they proposing the sign and the decal on the window, or
I
is
believe
this-
it's already there.
it's already there?
I believe so.
That's their logo.
It's their logo in New York.
Well, we will go forward as if the sign is not currently there. We're just proposing, looking at this application as a new application being proposed. The applicant's not there, but board members, do you feel that necessary that they be here to represent the application?
Yes.
I do too. Don't know if there's any lanterns, a little more detail in terms of the sign. I know you want to go and eat. I know it currently exists. I just rather the applicant here so that we can have a thorough application and we also are able to complete a thorough
Agreed.
question and answer.
Fair enough.
Any public comments before we proceed?
Apparently, the lack of a sign isn't going to prevent anybody from having dinner.
Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the storefront and window sign application for Serco at 268 Elm Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Final sign permit for this evening.
Plumpet 66 Jobs Lane.
Stacy Menzer, Hampton Signs.
Storefront and 2 windows, correct?
Yes.
Anything on the door?
No.
Backlit, any lighting,
No.
any awnings? or
The lighting is, I believe, is already there.
Pre-existing? Okay. The sign above the door, are there individual letters or is it a
It's a decal.
It's a decal. And the representation of the font as well as the color.
Yes.
Brian, any comments?
No, I think it's fine.
Esther?
Fine.
Christine?
Aye.
Pam?
No.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the storefront and window signs for Pompet at 66 Job's Lane.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good night.
Concludes our sign permits for this evening.
Go back and get some more.
Okay. First application, historic.
Mr. Chair, first application is for the Village of Southampton for a clock tower located in Agawam Park.
The applicant,
Donated by the Rotary Club. And this is in a historic monument area of a park in the Village of Southampton. I'd asked Zachary to look into it last time. I know he's not present tonight, so I'd formally request if we can have an adjournment till the next meeting until he has a chance to look at clock towers by groups and so forth in a public historic monument area.
I don't disagree with that. Quick question, point of reference. As a former Rotarian, do I have an issue in terms of, I don't feel I can be,
No,
I could be,
Just disclose your
Okay.
affiliation.
Very good.
Formally.
I'm sorry?
Formally?
I've been too busy. Sorry.
Yes, you are sorry.
Yes. Sorry, apologize.
Is there a representative here?
I'm representing Rotary, not the village. So.
But you're here to, you're here to speak to, you're here to speak to the application, though?
The
Yes, I'm
application
here
is
to-
for, excuse me, the application is for the Village of Southampton,
Yeah.
not for the Rotary.
Building permit is in the name,
They can ask somebody to present the application.
Building permit application is in the name of whom?
but question, you're representing Rotary as the donor of the sign,
Yes.
not the applicant, correct?
Correct. The village, I believe, is the applicant.
There is no letter and file for representation. So as public comment, she can make comments. And
Yeah.
do you want to wait until our historic consultant does a little more evaluations in terms of his background? You may have to re-present your application or whatever discussions you wish to give or grant this evening when he returns. It's your discretion.
Can I just be clear on what needs to happen right now? Because I think there was a little confusion when this first started and the
Clarity is good.
other members of the village gave us an okay and then we got held up. So
Who gave you an okay?
just like a verbal, like, yeah, we'll be
Okay.
fine. You know what I mean? So you need Zach Studenroth to review this before it can go forward.
Yes.
Is that
What
correct?
we've because this is in the historic district, part of common practice of this board is when there's a new application, especially within the historic district, and there's question about appropriateness, we ask our historic consultant to go out and do an evaluation.
Okay.
It seems as I'm sorry, I heard it from Ham, but I didn't hear from the other board members. Do you feel Zach should do a report before you are capable of making any type of?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Christine?
I'm in
So-
agreement.
So, in doing so, we'll empower him to go out and do an evaluation on its appropriateness.
Okay.
And then he comes back before the board and does a presentation. That should be in file before the next meeting.
So are we under the understanding that he's already been provided with the information or he still needs
He
to?
needs to do the work.
He needs to get this
Yes.
information.
Correct.
So do we need to provide it to him or
You need to provide what to him?
like the photos? I mean, the.
We have
That's all in the
Yeah, we
file.
have the
We have it
file,
all,
yes.
okay.
of the full.
I'm trying to figure out who's
body.
going to give him this information and ask
He
him to
has
go
it
do
already.
Okay.
What we have is we have what was submitted in terms of the full application.
Okay.
So but this is another issue, a challenge we may encounter. We have bits and pieces of dimensions of the clock, but not a full representation of what it looks like. So we're like piecemealing it and putting it together.
I see, 'cause
It
I
would be
have-
very helpful if you were.
So we'll give him this page, which has the full clock.
If you want to enter
dimensions,
more information in the
blown up.
file so that he can
If you-
review it, that would be good. But he has the information that he
Okay.
needs, I believe.
Okay. And who from the village is actually the representative of this application? So if I need to talk to someone,
We have no idea.
we
One of the
don't.
That's why-
trustees.
So it's the mayor.
No, one of the trustees.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the trustees and the mayor, but any one of the trustees can represent.
Any one
the
of them.
village. Any one of them.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any comment? I don't want to.
He's not
I
the
mean,
applicant.
it's your discretion on whether you want to be heard this evening or wait till Zach comes back with a report. You may want to prepare whatever statements you have based on the information he's bringing forward.
I would like to wait.
Okay. Board members, anything further?
No.
Any public comment on this application? Please step forward.
Susan Stevenson, 84 Toilsome Lane. I went to the trustees meeting last night to find out who exactly had green-lighted this particular application. And I guess it's the parks, the trustee who oversees the parks. In my estimation, regardless of what the clock tower might look like, we have a pretty busy visual situation down by quite a solemn, what I consider solemn, war memorial, and the pond, not to mention a playground, now a shed, a dock, a fountain, and a boardwalk with two kinds of fences. And I think that adding another visual element that continues to break up the view out to the Lake Agawam and interrupts the green of the park is a questionable idea. And it wasn't really the merits of what the clock tower would look like was not discussed at the trustees meeting last night. But I do feel that there continues to be more and more stuff put on this park that I consider, that to me, that should be a swath of green, a war memorial, and yes, you have to have a playground, but I don't think we have a ferry boat, a dock, all kinds of stuff down there. And the addition of a clock tower seems to me to just be one too many things, regardless. And historically, I feel it's already sort of been diminished by the amount of, there's a shed that mysteriously appeared that houses evidently the machinery or the motors that churn the water, so it's not as green as it might be. But I would ask you to take a look down there just at the visual impact of what is already there before anything else is even considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment?
I'd like to say something.
Sure.
I think your point is well taken, and I think it would be helpful to the application to see the clock tower in the context of everything else that's happening down there, so that we can have a full representation of all the elements that Susan mentioned.
I just want to comment on the selection of the location, which is near the ferry landing area where they board the ferry and near a tree, so that it would kind of minimize, it wouldn't be stuck out in the middle of some open space. So it's in between those two functions.
Did you show that representation in your?
Indicated on the survey.
Well,
It's on the survey,
Well,
but
it would be helpful if that's also at least shown or replicated in terms of a photo, so we can get
a
a
rendering of
picture,
some
so
sort.
we have it in content. The survey helps, or I should say,
we have
tax
those.
map helps, but it would be
Okay.
helpful to have a visual impact.
Understood.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further from the public? Anything further from the board? No. You're asking the board to adjourn, and, well, you're not the applicant, so we have to adjourn. Motion to adjourn the application.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application of the Village of Southampton for the clock tower by the Rotary Club on Pond Lane.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
David and Holly Shore, 303 First Neck Lane. Window and door changes.
Is the applicant present? Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application of David and Holly Scher at 303 First Neck Lane.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Next application, please.
Next application is, there are actually 3 written decisions. The originals are prepared by council
Yeah, they're all,
on Trippett, on Willett,
Stella Union.
and Stilla Union.
so,
I don't know if you want to do those in
In
separately.
affirmative, the applications are approved. Trippett as amended, Willett and Stellar Union as presented. The affirmative vote on the motion will be to approve the applications.
we'll start first with Trippett. Motion to approve written decision by council.
I make a motion that we approve the written decision by council for the application at 104 Post Crossing, Linda Trippett.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve written decision for Willett.
I make a motion to approve the written decision by council for Scott Willett, 291 South Main Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Want to stay in order?
Let's just finish it. Motion to approve written decision for Stella.
Stilla
Make a
Union.
motion that we approve the written decision by council for Stella Union LLC on 25 North Sea Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Application of Gene Shadoroff for a single-family home. John, have there been any changes to the application since the last meeting?
The last meeting, I was requested that we bring in a landscape plan to discuss some of the screening issues that were involved and also more detail on the front entry gate. And so I have those with me
Any
tonight.
changes on the application in terms of the structures?
No, none was requested, so
Okay,
I.
thank you.
I just wanted to give the board, these are small copies of the bigger landscape plan and some green information.
Are you entering in the landscape plan into the record?
Yes, I am.
And these are representation of the scale drawing of the landscape plan?
That is correct.
Proceed.
Can I see one, Bill?
Okay.
So,
Just go over what's proposed and what's existing and what's proposed.
So, the existing house is currently located right here, and that's being removed, and this is the house where Neil footprint is. The house has an existing front driveway, which we're removing, and we're putting a new set of driveway, a new driveway to
Show that to
the,
the camera, John, in the audience, please. Hold it there for a second by the camera. please.
sorry.
Thank you.
So we're relocating the existing driveway to the north, and we're putting in an apron and two gate piers with a new driveway. The existing privet is going to be, that's currently there, is going to be taken down. It's going to be a larger 12-foot privet are going to be incurred to line up with the existing privet that's currently on the street.
Height?
They're approximately 12 feet.
12.
More or less 12 feet. So we have, that's what we believe they are on the street right now, the adjacent neighbors. In the existing courtyard, we have proposed a series of 3 feet to 4 feet high boxwoods. These are going to hide any type of vehicles that might be in the front entry when the privet loses its leaves. Adjacent to the motor court, we have sort of big privet balls, just to give the house some scale. Along the front of the house, we have some additional boxwood just to hide some of the mechanical area that's a little mechanical pit that's down in front of the house. In the, I guess the bigger question really was on the property line to the north, where we have a deck. We propose to put in about 22-foot cedar. Cedars are 12-foot wide, and potentially some arborvitae screening. This is for the upper terrace, and these are being located along through here. The existing screening, the existing material there now is there's like black pines, there's a cryptomerias, and it's a little scraggly. So we're going to reinforce all that and put a whole new row in.
6 of them, 20 to 22 feet high and 12 feet wide.
That's correct.
And what you're proposing is that that's going to obstruct your line of sight to your yard and any privacy concerns.
That is correct. The adjacent neighbor is actually, the adjacent neighbor's deck is actually in parallel with ours, so we're going to be able to block that out.
Can we talk about the gate for a second?
Do you have a sample of lantern detail?
I do. This is it's a carriage house. I just have
It's
one.
fine. And the lenses will be frosted?
That's correct.
Now, this gate is set back about 16, 18 feet from the street from Wickerpog?
That's correct.
From one end? What are the solid panels on the lower section?
The solid panels for 4 feet on the bottom section.
Yeah.
They're
We
white.
avoid those, can we make those transparent, so they're like the other gates that this board has been pushing for, which is transparency,
Or reduce the panelization?
or reduce the panelization to a minimum of 20 inches?
We could, why don't we make it transparent? Why don't we make
Maybe
it
through,
Make it
without
straight
the
through, carry the
panelization.
pier straight through.
Right, good. And what is the brick material that you're using on the piers?
This is a Glengarry Danish blend. It's going to match the existing chimneys on the house. and it has a
It's
series
a
of...
red tone, not a jersey tan.
It's more of a pinkish brick, I would say.
Brick.
It would be a little bit better.
And that's what the house is gonna be, a pink brick?
Yeah, it's more of a pink brick, yes.
So you have the lanterns above the pillar. You also have projectile, I guess they would be almost like a
Two
flash.
landscape lighting that are be in front of the piers themselves. In case
pointing
you
up to
didn't
get-
want in case you didn't want to put on the lanterns.
So it's a wash light?
That's correct.
And the spacing between the spindles is 4 inches?
That's correct. Their spindles are 1.5 inches. This is a white wooden gate with a metal frame, and we'll make it more transparent all the way through the bottom.
The crown of the gate is 7.6 at the top of the piers.
7.6 as well.
Uh-huh. I'd like to see the gate as it's transparent with some kind of bracing that you have and one without the panelization.
We probably would need a check rail, lock rail in the middle of the gate just to give it some,
Yeah,
just
can you
some
give us
stability.
another look at that?
I can redraw that
Without the panels.
without the panels.
And realistically, what it's gonna look like with that lock point.
Yeah, I would probably keep this lock point probably where it is,
Uh-huh.
and just drive the panels right through, drive the,
Carry them through.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Brian, comments?
Nope, I'm fine with it.
Christine?
Nope.
Esther?
I think the change on the gates will be very handsome.
Pam?
No issues other than the gate and getting another drawing.
Any public comment on the application?
Detail just for that.
Public comment on the application? All right, I think we've narrowed down landscape, the facade itself. There's some questions about the driveway gates, unfortunately, is a part of the complete application. So we need to see those changes before we can approve the application.
John, you're a licensed architect in the state of New York, right?
yes.
Okay, so can you get that back to us in the file? We have to prepare a written decision anyway, since this is in the historic district.
I wouldn't close the application without seeing the final.
Right.
I wouldn't close the application before seeing the final.
Correct, okay.
Thank you.
Just for precedent purposes.
Agreed.
No public comment? All right, we'll just adjourn until the next meeting. The only thing we have to clean up, obviously, is the driveway gates.
Very good.
All right, any questions? Motion
Thank
to
you.
adjourn.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn. Make a motion to adjourn the application for Jean Shafroff until our next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Esperance for gates. You have all the written ones back there, right? Yeah, decisions.
Hi, name for the record, please.
My name is Neil Cummings. This is Stephen Snabria.
Okay.
We're proposing.
Driveway
would you like to
gates.
see- Would you like to see the small steps?
Please.
We're proposing the construction of an entry gate between two existing piers. Property is located off First Lake Lane. The gate will be painted white to match the piers.
Thank you.
The lower half will be solid panels to match the piers,
Height of the panel?
24 inches.
Sorry?
24 inches,
Spacing between the lattice.
4 and 5/8 inches.
Any lanterns or,
The existing lanterns on top of the
Existing.
piers, yes.
Brian?
No, I don't have any issues with it.
Christine?
No, I have no issues with it.
Pam?
Again, I'd like to see the panelization dropped out of the application entirely.
It's 2 feet.
Okay. The amount of the height from the landscape to the top of the solid cross rail is what?
To here,
Yeah,
24 and 5, 29 inches.
okay. I'm fine with it then.
Esther? I'm okay with it.
Any public comment on the application? You put that down.
Do you want to turn that towards the camera, public, please?
The application is located in the Historic District. There seems to be
Towards them.
approval of this board, so we will empower our council to prepare a written decision for approval at our next meeting. Any questions? Motion to close for written decision.
I make a motion that we close the application of Francis Lesperance at 245 Pleasant Lane for written decision by our council.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That concludes our historic applications for this evening.
That's fine, we'll do it later. Can you place it there, please? Okay. Mr. Chair, before we open this, Barbara Wilson, I had recused myself because I was approached by Barbara unofficially, and we discussed the application of a stair on the back of her house. I have an office that's right down the street. So I recused back in the fall, not for a financial matter, but just because Ms. Wilson and I spoke and we've been long-term friends. However, months have gone by, and I got involved back into the project because I think it's of a minor nature, but it's of a code issue. So I want to state for the record that there's no financial connection whatsoever, nor is there any connection for me or thoughts for me to vote anything other than with my experience of being on this board for 15 years. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that, open the application of Barbara Wilson, 165 Elm Street for second floor deck and outside staircase for access for an apartment on the pre-existing.
I don't know.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this is my nephew, Jason Wilson.
Hello.
He just graduated and he's hoping to become an architect. So I brought him
Oh,
along
very
so he
good.
could assist us.
So you come before the firing squad.
Yeah, so
For you.
I figured, and with a nice fresh set of eyes, he actually thought of something else, which I don't know if that's something that the board even wants to consider. It's not something that I was really.
Is this in the file now at all? Have you presented
No,
this?
I haven't put this.
Okay.
So he was
It's the
just.
first time this board has seen it, first time it's part of being presented.
Yes. So, would you please tell him?
We would need to see those, so it's kind of difficult. I don't know, do you have another copy that we can look at?
No.
I don't have any.
But he can hand it up to you.
Okay, you present it and then you'll have to
Do you have the site plan?
bring it forward.
You just can tell, you just can.
No, I need the site plan.
Also remember that every submission has to be in duplicate, so we would need 2 copies of just giving you a little advice going.
Don't start visibly shaking in front of the board.
Okay.
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 Doing great.
And I just, I happened to find a picture of, also for the board, which I can hand up to you. For what, before the bushes were installed, next to me, this is actually what is actually there without the bushes covering it. This is what is actually across on my neighbor's property right
Okay.
now. So if I could hand that up to someone.
But this way, would have to get stamped in.
Thank you.
Barbara, you have noted on the back what that is?
I
The
think
address?
it's pretty evident.
No, you need
No,
the
we-
okay.
What do you want me to put on the back?
property address or person whom you're representing. The property that the parcel represents.
Well, it represents my property and Mr. Gugliotta's.
So you have an address there?
Property. Okay, see where he's located.
To the north?
Yes.
Say subject property, view to the west of subject property and property to the north.
What are you proposing?
Proposing right here. Oh, is it okay if I come up here?
You're here now, so it's okay.
Well, I don't have another copy.
It's okay.
Proposing, like, this is the site plan.
You show me.
Like, the house kind of niches out right here, like on the second story. This is where the living room would be. There's already, like, stairs that go up this side. So I was proposing, like, on the side of the house, we have stairs. Go up it, that would be this, and it would connect to the front porch. Just like this would be proposed.
So no longer a rear entryway from the
No
side?
longer, but from the side.
I told him I would prefer the rear entry, but he was explaining to me how he thought as an architect that that rear entry would not be beautiful. But I told him that that's what this board was preferring, and that I certainly was willing to go along with the rear entrance with it enclosed as the board had suggested. And he also drew a picture of that. And if you could explain about the dimensions and the trees.
This is just showing like if we went forward with something on the rear, this was my proposal. It's kind of showing like this is the covered area, the lattice for privacy, and these are the stairs. They turn. So for privacy, like this is a 6-foot tall person, and it's showing that the hedges that give the neighbors privacy, they're about 14 to 16 feet tall, and this person being 6 foot. The highest that they would be on the stairs is 12 foot 2 inches. So they would never have any visual like.
What would be the impact of the street?
This would be
It's
in the
behind.
back.
It's behind.
Non-visible.
Says it's still non-visible,
It's still not visible.
and you're saying that the impact, or at least line of sight, will be obstructed by the 14-foot hedge.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate this, but just to let you know, we would never accept this. This is a good starting point to have a discussion, but at some point, we would actually need to see a set of plans that would indicate it.
Okay.
Something a little more, less than being sketchy, so.
That are
let's start-
scaled.
Let's start with the conversation and.
And then I think you have something in the file from last time, and as Mr. Brady had pointed out, the reason why I was asking for it to extend out was because of the loss of the height with the downstairs deck. And again, I was just to, state to the board that I would be willing to do exactly what the picture is that I presented and exactly what's been done on my neighbor's property. I'm willing to do the exact same thing. As you can see, this was the before picture, and this is the after picture of exactly what he did, and I'm willing to do the exact same thing. And this is how it was enclosed. I would like to use a little bit nicer material. That's how he has it enclosed. I'd like to use lattice instead to enclose it. And I believe that the reason why it was done like this was so that, exactly like Mr. Brady pointed out, he didn't lose the downstairs portion where he has an outside shower.
Okay. Which one are you proposing?
I would like to do the back with like a little small catwalk and the steps.
Is that what you're proposing?
Yes, with the lattice enclosed.
So we don't need these sketches, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying that that's an alternative if somebody else is still having a difficult time with it being in the back. I did have a meeting with my
These are
neighbors
the
and I
new
tried to come up with
plans
some.
showing off the rear with more detail. So I have a set of plans that were dated May 27th. They're showing a small landing and a staircase coming off the rear.
Right,
Is that what you're proposing?
yes,
This start?
yes, but
Where-
enclosed, as you suggested, I would enclose it with the lattice. And
Where is the enclosure?
I would just have to draw it on there. I mean.
Well, your architect would have to.
Right.
You would draw it.
Well, that's what I had said at the last meeting, that, it really has become quite costly for me to keep going back to the architect, and if I can put it on that drawing, I'd be more than happy to just put it on that drawing myself. And that's why I brought this young man along, because he could probably draw it on there if that
You
would
licensed?
satisfy the board.
No.
No,
Can't.
but he's my nephew, so he could just help me draw something, because I'm not that good at drawing. But I could just draw some lattice on there too, but,
You want direction, is that correct?
yes.
Board members, we're back at the rear landing. Applicant wants the rear landing as proposed, and plans that were received on May 27th. Did all board members have the opportunity to review those set of plans?
No.
No, not until now.
Okay.
Would
have
your
you-
stair come out any further than that stair?
It doesn't need to. That's what I had suggested, just exactly, it's basically the same thing.
No, I'm trying to get
Yeah, it
an
would
idea of
be the
where, in
same
relationship to your stair, it's in the same area.
Same distance. Actually, mine would be a little bit shorter, because I wouldn't need as far of a catwalk.
The other request was a side staircase hidden by lattice at its landing, which is a larger platform now, so you're going back to the deck?
Right.
You're going back to the deck look, am I
Right.
correct? What are the dimensions of that landing?
3'8".
Well, there's some dimensions in there, but it's not.
Trying to get, well, it's sketchy, so. It's sketchy.
Mr. Brady, this is where that deck, because that's where that building ends, and my house juts out a little bit more, so that's why the distance would be less.
I got it.
We just received this information today.
Yes.
Barbara, I'm sure that there are going to be people who have comments about it. We want to be fair, so we're just receiving this information. Allow their comments to come into play, also allow them to also look, view, and foil the file. And then we put things in contents, and we'll put as part of record, there are two alternatives that you put into this file. Understand, even if we were to go with this rendering or this style or this idea, it would have to go into a form. It would have to actually be done professionally, so that we can see all the dimensions. We can see the actual how it's going to be built on property, or how it will look. What would the impact be to the neighbors? So we need to see more detail than just a sketched view. Allow the neighbors to take a look at it. Allow them to speak now, because I'm sure there are some comments. And then we would probably have to, well, no, probably, we will have to come at our next meeting to have more dialogue about this application.
Okay.
All right? So any public comment on the application? We can just make a little way so they can.
Good evening. My name is Peter Yamanich. I, of course, didn't get a chance to look at the plans, so I'm probably just going to read more of my prepared remarks regarding Ms. Wilson's application for the rear entrance, if that's okay. I live at 169 Elm Street. I'm the neighbor on the north side of Ms. Wilson's property. I represent myself and my wife, Leah Yamanich. I've stated this multiple times at previous hearings, so we won't have to get into this again for both of our sakes. But the primary concern for our opposition to the presented plans is primarily a matter of privacy, and the board seems to understand that in our conversation, so thank you for that. As the board suggested, we actually invited Ms. Wilson over this weekend, and we had what I thought was a pretty productive conversation. Something admittedly we probably should have done earlier, but at this point I think we're more mature and we moved on from that. However, unfortunately we were not able to find an agreement, but we did get some good insight into each other's point of view. If I recall, and I think we just mentioned it, the board requested Ms. Wilson at the prior meeting to come back with a couple different other options. One, enclosing the stairs with something solid, shortening the length of what she refers to as a platform, which is, again, 4 feet by 9 feet 6 inches, so nothing unsubstantial, looking directly into our bedroom, etc. Also, the board asked her to look into the idea of switch stairs, which would turn towards the driveway. The board also suggested dark sky fixtures, along with presenting more detailed plans. In my conversation with Ms. Wilson this weekend, it seems like she's set on what she has currently submitted in the file. And since Ms. Wilson has kind of reached the budget for her proposal, and I understand that, it seems like she wants the board to rule on the current set of plans, which she has, and doesn't want to amend for the rear set of stairs because she doesn't want to impact her, her first floor deck, among other things. Look, I think going through the process, going forward, Ms. Wilson mentioned that instead she may want to do something like an extension, something that wouldn't impact our privacy, something that most likely my wife and I wouldn't oppose. We would, of course, like to talk to her about that beforehand so something like this doesn't happen again. But I think going back to the matter at hand, tonight's plans are exactly the same as the ones that were presented at the prior meeting. As such, our privacy concerns have not changed. And it seems like the multiple points which I just mentioned, which the board had concerns with, have still not been addressed. So if it is that she wants that current set of plans to be voted on, I see that since there's multiple outstanding points, it should clearly be denied. And then if Ms. Wilson wants to come back with different plans for an extension or something like that, which doesn't impact the privacy of her neighbors, I think that probably is the right thing, which would make the most sense.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? Any cough drops? Sore throat. Sorry. It's okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Diane Finnegan, 175 Elm Street. I'm not really sure what we're looking at here. Am I looking at the plans that she submitted the last time we were here?
It's a good question.
I mean, I really have no idea, because we were part of the meeting that was held at my house on Monday afternoon with Barbara Wilson. And so, we had a neighborly conversation, and however, despite our opposing views on her application. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to be looking at here. Is this the application that she submitted prior, where Mr. Brady actually came up with that the platform was not small, that was actually 4 by 10 or 4 feet by 9.6. And then also, I see no changes were made in terms of...
You saw the plans that were submitted today?
I saw the original plans that were submitted at the last meeting.
I understand, but there were plans that were submitted on the 27th. Did you receive a copy of those plans?
No.
Did you see a copy of those plans?
No.
Okay, so they were received today, they were stamped in today. You haven't had the opportunity to
No.
see those.
Are they the same plans that...
Which is the reason why I said we just received them today. The community, neighbors, I'm sure that were interested, had not had the opportunity to review, just like we have not. So that's the reason why we're adjourning until the next meeting, so that opportunity.
How many more meetings are we going to continue to have that are adjourned? This is our 8th meeting here. It started in November or whatever.
The applicant has a
And-
right to a hearing, has a right to allowing the process to be vetted out.
Okay.
And we're not in the process, we are not a board that likes to deny applications for the sake of denying them.
Well, I do
There
have...
really has to be a germane reason for doing so.
Well, I do have a question for Mr. Robinson about non-conforming uses, building and structures. Section 11619, Section D.
11619D.
Yes. It says extension. A non-conforming use shall not be enlarged or extended, nor shall the degree of nonconformity of a non-conforming building be increased except as provided in 116-28C of this chapter. And I believe that chapter refers to getting a variance.
That would be correct. Now, I think I commented last week about the issue of zoning with respect to this.
Yes.
So the flip side of that applies. If it indeed would qualify under 11619, then the applicant would have to get a variance.
Yes, because that's what it says, extension, non-conforming use shall not be enlarged or extended. And if you add on any kind of an apparatus at the back of her house to get in or out of her property, you are changing the use of that existing.
Did you discuss this with the building department?
No.
That would be your next visit, is to talk
That would be my
with the
next
building
step?
inspector to ask for their official position on this.
Okay, thank you very much. So back to what I wanted to say. Again, it simply boils down to privacy and aesthetics of her application, both of which are a major concern to both my husband, who could not be here tonight, and myself. Because no changes have been made to this plan that I can really tell that was recommended by this particular board here, my husband and I both continue to be in opposition of this application. As I said before, this is our 8th meeting, and I just really hope that at this point in time, I would like to hope that we continue to move forward on this. But we're definitely, as things are, as they are right now, I still continue to be opposed to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? Okay, as stated before, we just received the file, the revised drawings, both renderings. One, obviously, your sketch and your proposal, maybe, hey, they take a look at it, they're understanding it, and it comes back as something favorable. But we have to give the public the opportunity to review that, and this has been an application of interest, so we want to be very sensitive to the concerns of the community as well. Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Brian, comments?
No.
Christine?
I just want to,
Let me,
I guess it'd probably be best for me just to request from the board, if I could, the direction that you want to see this go in at
you
this time.
spoke about providing some options. That's up to you. In the meantime, we're going to review the file and get familiar with it and let the public get familiar with it. I make a motion to adjourn the application of Barbara Wilson, 165 Elm Street.
Just for clarification, you're asking for direction. there have been comments during the process
Yes.
itself. So I would take those directions personally as part of our direct comments to you on how we can push the full application forward. So I don't know if that's going back to past meetings or past notes or past minutes, just seeing some of the things that each board member has suggested that would make things a little easier for you to proceed on with the application. We're going to review what we have today,
We need to look at this.
and we need to see the file as a completion. There was a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good luck. Thank you. On the application of 42 Old Town Crossing, thank you, Barbara.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Just state your name for the record, please.
Good evening, members of the board, Mr. Robinson. My name is Monica Navi. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Burke & Sullivan, 41 Meeting House Lane, Southampton, New York, 11968. On behalf of the applicant, 42 Old Town Crossing. At last hearing, there were questions about the roof line, and here with me today is architect Jeff Gibbons and owner Lou Folo to address those questions.
Go over the changes that you've made.
Yes. Good evening, members of the board. Here are sets of, we simplified the roof as we were told or asked to by you at the last meeting. We moved the dormers.
Jeff, before we go any further, do these mini sets match your file sets?
Yes, they did.
Okay, thank you.
They were in last Tuesday. Okay. There was a quite a complicated roof line that lent itself, well, not well to the house, nor the style of the house. We've talked about this house as a four-square, and we tried to treat it like a four-square roof. There is a higher ridge. All the dormers are set down from the high ridge. The front dormer has been made smaller. The rear dormer is about the same size, only it's centered now, not opposing over here. And this side dormer is free. You can see here in the 3D. The side dormer is free of any attachments that look like that.
Okay, just face side to side. Facing the same direction, okay. All right, so the,
This was all taken
Can you
off.
face the
before
front
and the
porch
after.
towards us?
And this was
Can you turn that towards the camera and towards the audience?
we'll
please?
take, just give me a second. We'll just
Yeah.
take a look at it before we,
This was dropped down.
back to the, Brian?
I think they did a great job, and I think they did exactly what this house needed. It doesn't read as a three-story house any longer. It reads as a two-story house with dormers on it. And,
The pictures,
you know,
excuse me, the pictures you have are the existing dormers on the
Right.
existing house.
the dormers are all sitting in the roof. They're not on top of the roof, and I think that helps break down the scale of this and make it fit in better with the neighborhood. I think they did a great job this time.
Can you turn that towards the camera and towards the public to show, please?
Both of them, or just the?
Both of them,
Both of them.
with the same
Same
facade.
facade.
Pam, comments?
These are too.
Well, too big on the lot. I think it's an improvement of the effort's been there, and I think it's a successful one, but in my opinion, it's too big for this lot. I really do. I think it's too tall, and it's just too much of a massive house. I don't like the twin chimneys. Unusual. But I think it's a big improvement over what was presented. If you've done what we've asked you to do, and it reads a lot lower, I think it's getting closer. I'm not committed to it yet.
Christine?
I think they've done a good job of bringing the roof down.
Esther?
I would really agree with what Ham had to say. You've certainly taken our suggestions into account. The roof is significantly better. I do agree about the twin chimneys. I find them a little bit massive, and frankly, if there would be a way to reduce just the scale of it a little bit, because it's still going to sit very big on the lot, but it is a vast improvement, and I do thank you for your efforts.
We asked you to simplify the roof line just to give us a better content of the three-story look. Challenge we always have as a board, and this board always suffers with this challenge. You have as of right in terms of overall volume to be built. Challenge is how do we make that overall volume look acceptable within the community? Very subjective in how to do so. How do you do it? You simplify roof lines. Sometimes you do step backs. There are different things that we've asked applicants to do in the past. You've done each one that we've asked you to do. So we come to a point in the juncture right now where it's very difficult for us to hold back an as-of-right property and hold you.
Because of the code, correct?
Because of the code, because as code currently exists, it's difficult for us to do so. I agree that it's rather large for the overall community, but past cases have proven that unfortunately we can't hold an applicant based on just saying it's too large. So therefore, since you've made the modifications that are necessary, I no longer have any objection to moving on with the application. Is there any public comment?
Can I add two more things?
You sure?
You have the majority.
Yeah.
I just can talk about that.
You sure?
Yeah.
It's up to you. Okay.
I think there's people that want to comment in the audience. Mr.
Let's see
Chair.
what the comments are. Please step forward.
Diane Deutschman, 200 Lewis Street, Southampton. I do not understand why you say that you can't comment on something being too large. That's your responsibility to make it harmonious in the neighborhood.
No, I made a comment that it was too
I
large.
made a comment that it was too
I know
large.
you
we,
did.
we said we felt that that's the case. The issue and the challenge we have is they have as of right to build that volume home, unfortunately.
Under the current code that the trustees hoping will modify.
I guess they gave you this thing about Old Town Crossing data from the building department on the width of houses and all this other business. I don't really care about the width of the other houses. What they failed to tell you is that the surrounding houses have not begun to max out their properties. They are lovely homes with beautiful grass surroundings. They do not have large houses with pools, pool houses, detached garage. The only house that will be like that is the one that you approved in a past meeting. This house will be much wider and higher than the one that it is replacing, which is the one you did not landmark.
The board.
The board did not landmark. The house is currently vertical, but will now be a box 34 feet wide and 34 feet high and 37 feet wide. With the pool house, and the detached garage, it will certainly overwhelm this neighborhood. It's also important to note that square footage does not equal mass and scale. Ham told me to go to the trustees, and I went to the mayor. And I found out that the entire board of trustees is aware of this problem. They are working seriously to correct it. The village people are sick and tired of what is happening to our neighboring streets. Developers come in here, they say as of right, they make big bucks, they say bye-bye, and we have to live with it for the rest of our lives. Furthermore, I don't believe what these people put before your board. Mr. Deasing is out of town, but I can tell you that these people outright lied to you.
Excuse me. They're speaking, please.
They told you that his house was 34 feet 8 inches, which he knew was not true. So he hired out of his own pocket Squires and Holden, and it is 32 feet, 3 inches. I believe he has submitted this to you and the building department, but if not, I have a copy of Squires and Holden's report, which shows that what they submitted was not true. I don't like to say this to you, Mr. Chairman, but your board has a lot more power than you wish to utilize. And we, the village people, hope that you will help us maintain our neighborhoods. Thank you.
I just want to make a quick comment about that.
Okay, fine.
The courts have determined differently. And we have fought, and we have stood our ground on many applications to stop. And unfortunately, we've put, I would say, the village of Southampton, and between lawsuits and litigation, I won't say a waste, but we've lost cases based on determining applications because of size.
Where are the results from the code strengthening?
So, now, I have to say this. We need to really revamp our code.
Period.
However, the powers you wish for us to have, we don't possess as of yet. We don't.
In your code, it says the board is charged with duty of exercising sound judgment and of rejecting plans which in its opinion are not harmonious character because of the proposed style, materials, and mass. And if this isn't mass, I don't know why you can't use your code to do it, because this is definitely mass. And it's going to ruin our neighborhood, and we're going to live with it while they say bye-bye and take their big bucks and go. It's not fair.
I don't disagree, ma'am. Any more comments?
Thank you, Diane.
Wait. Any more comments? Anything further from the board? Council, anything further with regards to past litigation and the responsibilities of this board in determining issues of mass and volume?
No, I think you spoke well. The comment to Diane is, you're right about quoting the architectural code, but we have a zoning code. And mass has to be taken at present time under our code, unless the trustees change it, to mean mass in the context of the GFA. So I don't know why people have such a hard time with that. And how many times has this board said, if people are unhappy about this, go to the trustees and get the problem solved? This board has done so. This board went to litigation on the Farrar case, and the court said the board doesn't have the right to reduce a house below the GFA. So if you don't want houses this big in this neighborhood, the trustees are the ones that have the power to change it. And you went to the trustees, what did they tell you? They're working on it? Did they say how long they've been working on it or what's going on? I mean, we hear your frustration, but we don't know. This board has to act within the confines of the zoning code. The board can't say with a 30-foot setback in the front yard that the house must go back 40 feet. That's a zoning issue.
I did not go to the Board of Trustees. I went to the mayor, and then I watched the last Board of Trustees meeting, which was totally in agreement with what I'm saying now. And I just don't understand why it's...
Where is the result of it? You know, I'm not taking another term of 3 years because there's been no code changes for the last 3 years.
I realize
My next
that.
meeting is my last one. That's it. It's enough of getting yelled at by everybody all the time.
Right.
When we have no place to go here.
So you're
Period.
telling me that that this board's code, which is written, which is
There's an
written in here,
architectural
is...
No, we're not saying that at all. I'm saying there's an architectural provision and a zoning provision. And the zoning provision trumps the architectural provision. The zoning provision provides for a computation of gross floor area to which someone is legally entitled, just like they're entitled to the area setbacks on the lot. This board doesn't have the right to diminish that. It can ask and beg, which it's done, for people to reduce things, and many people have voluntarily, but we have no power to say you can't have a house less than 35 feet tall. The board can ask somebody to reduce it, and many people do. But 35 feet is the limit, and you can't build above it, but we have no right to say you can't have a house less than that.
Now, when you're taking in the
You served
gross...
on the board for 8 years, so you must realize that.
Oh, we took it to court. We went to court with it. We didn't.
Well, so is this
We've
board.
been to court many, many times,
Many times.
Many times,
Many times.
many times.
and we're a volunteer board.
But when you talk about the zoning board and the
I'm not talking about
gross,
the zoning board, I'm
about
talking
the
about the zoning
zoning,
code.
all right, the zoning code, all
Code.
right, the house you're saying can have this, be this big. What about the pool house, the detached garage, the fact that they have no lawn, and the rest of the houses on this street
And
have?
there's no provision that says you have to have a maximum or minimum amount of lawn. There is a
Lot
part of the code that says if you can meet the setbacks, you can have a pool.
A
And if
third
you-
of an
and if you-
acre
and if
can
you
have
don't-
all
yes,
this
and
on
if
it.
you-
Pool has nothing to
Yeah.
do with this board.
Pool house? No, I know pool house doesn't, but,
It's all lot coverage.
It's all lot coverage.
It's all lot coverage.
well, this is all lot coverage.
Well,
It's
it's-
covered completely.
It's all
Talk
a
to the
question of math.
trustees.
This is a
Well,
very.
you know they're working
We
on
understand something.
it.
This is a valuable conversation we're having, and we understand the frustrations. Trust me, I can't shop in Wahlbaus half the time because I'm getting accosted about the size of homes. Believe me, it is frustrating. It's frustrating. I'm
The
in 75
village
Maine, and I'm
residents
having
are
a
sick
nice,
of it.
beautiful salmon. Thank you, Zach. And it's absolutely incredible. But I can't have a common evening because we're just so inundated with the challenge of heightened end homes being built in Southampton Village. It's unfortunate, but this is a conversation that, and the frustration should be vetted at the right location, and it's not here, unfortunately.
It's the trustee.
It's not here.
How
Go
many
to the
meetings have we
trustees.
fought to make these changes?
These changes, and I don't like the porch. I think it's terrible.
Well, that's something we can talk about. But not the height, not the square
Okay.
footage. Any further conversations? Any further comment? Please step forward.
On this application,
Am I allowed to comment on that?
On this
on
application?
this
Yes.
application,
issue?
This application.
I'll wait.
on the application, thank you.
Anything further on this application? Anything further from the board? Any challenges or any issues with the application as it presents itself?
No.
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 No. No. No. Anything further from the applicant?
Yes, at this time.
Seriously?
Really?
We're about to vote
At
yes.
this time, we respectfully request this board close this application for a written decision, and I ask that they also involve in that decision the landmarking issue so that we can go forward on the demolition permit. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Because we had sorry.
I don't
Because
think we need to do a written.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, I
we
do.
We absolutely do. And the reason why we do is because the discussion of landmarking came up, and that determination has to be vetted as well as defined in a written decision, as well as this application has obviously the type of community activism that we need to get it. We need to get it written down. I'm sorry. So I respectfully accept the applicant's request for a written decision. Council, you'll do so at the next meeting? Motion to close the application for written decision.
I make a motion that we close the application of 42 Old Town Crossing LLC for written decision by our council.
Second.
All in favor?
Next application is for Goodrich, Southampton, which is Rite Aid.
Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn.
Make a motion that we approve Goodrich Southampton LLC, Rite Aid, request to adjourn to 6:22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next application, please.
Bert Greenberg, 146 Cooper's Farm Road for a front covered porch.
Good evening, Paul Delzato for Dr. Greenberg application.
Hi, Bert Green. How are you? Good.
This evening, I put together pictures of the following neighbors on 149 Cooper's Farm, 135, 142, 130, 136. On each back of the views of the photos, I actually wrote the addresses down.
This is proposed, this is the existing.
In review of the pictures with the architect and the homeowner, if I could submit these to the board, I would put them on the board, but I think the importance of the view of the house to actually see them and see the designs of the following neighbors that are exactly on the same block as
Dr. Greenberg, you understand that we're asking for the front portion to be appropriate and drop that down. Do you? Has he explained that to you?
We
No,
have
well, I understand the whole topic,
Are
Ham,
you
and you
sure?
and I believe, have discussed this on
No,
many
not at all,
occasions in
actually.
the past.
Not at all. The point being is that have you looked at the elevation and what your builder, who is
Yes.
representing you, is suggesting?
The answer
And our
is yes, and in answer to your question,
Yeah.
Ham, the answer is yes.
Okay.
And my architect.
Okay, so you're holding that you want that
I haven't
design,
finished, I'm
correct?
sorry.
Well,
If I
actually,
could
he's
just
on the
finish
podium.
I'm on the podium, too.
Yeah, he's.
Okay.
We're sharing the
Whatever.
podium
It's
here,
okay.
so.
All right.
If you don't mind, I have a voice.
Please,
I could use
please
it.
finish.
My architect came to the area, and in order to be compliant with the ARB and the nature of the community, he looked at all the homes in the area, particularly on my street.
Right.
And he photographed all the homes from the street in the front. We went over things, and he took elements from each of the homes that Paul just mentioned. We have photographs of them, and incorporated them nearly exactly into
Okay.
my home on the front door,
Got it.
which consists of a front door, side lights, and a window transom on top of it,
And you
just
wa-
like the other houses.
Okay, and you want the transom on
I
top?
do.
Okay.
Well, you've added another added another element from the original application. Is that correct?
We
Your
actually,
frontage.
We're actually back to the application from 2 meetings ago.
But your
exactly.
pool house, which was the first application, was approved and so forth, and then your other application was approved. So this is just for the front entry portion, correct?
And the house is completed except
Yeah.
for the front
Okay,
door.
fine. So that's
the
all we're
answer is
talking about.
Exactly.
Okay.
I only wish we could use it, but we don't have a door.
Well, the issue was the transom and so forth, so let's proceed with what we have, okay? Thank you.
Brian?
I don't know where we are. Are we back, are we on this one?
Well, the most recent application, no, I'm sorry, the most recent plans that were received today, correct? On the
He came
27th,
into us just
are
today.
yeah.
now
The one thing you have
proposing
on the second one.
To go back to the original?
the original.
Yes.
Let me look at these pictures real quick.
Have a look at
And what they're doing is
Where
they're,
are the rest of the pictures?
So it's not this one anymore.
It's
Okay,
not
if you
this
look
one.
at every one of these pictures, I can see what you're saying. There are elements of, in all of these houses, of what you're trying to do. But you have to understand that the eave of your porch is tying in to the eave of the house. Yours is not. Yours is raising up above it and going into a roof. None of these do that. The pediment either goes into a two-story structure, into the side of the house, or it's the same eave line carries through from the porch to the house. That's the problem with your
That's all
design.
we're asking for.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yes, and if you look at that on the plans that we submitted on 429, that actually is not the same height as the eave of the 4 existing dog houses that are on the existing of the house right now. They're actually 16 feet 8, and the eave that we have on the front door is actually 12.8. So it's actually a good amount of distance lower than the other eaves. So it's not up to the ridge.
Do you have the right date
Do you have the
plan?
right?
Okay, yeah, yeah.
This is
I-
May 27. This isn't the same.
It's May 1st. I don't have today's.
What's the height of that eave line?
9 feet underneath the soffit. So
This
it's
is
9
the-
foot first floor ceiling.
Okay, that should relate to your porch.
That's
And it
this.
doesn't.
Is that it?
Related to the first floor?
Yeah. What you're, even on this one or the new one, you're pushing this up higher than that 9 feet.
Yes.
Right.
Because
And that's
originally.
That's what's throwing off the scale of this entrance.
But it's not past that, it's actually underneath that existing height, because that's actually the second floor height. On each one of those dog houses, that's the second floor height. Because the second floor is only 8 foot pre-cut, so you got 96 and 5/8, so it's actually shorter. So the front door is actually lower than the actually second floor.
And Bert, I've been in the house, so you
Yeah,
want to
you're not
stand on
getting
the
it.
second floor looking out of the balcony outside. Is that what you're trying to do?
You're not gonna be able to look out the front, on the front balcony, because of the slope of the roof.
The slope.
There's no possible way.
Then why have it so tall, is what I'm
Well, the
saying.
front door, if we keep the door at 7
This
feet,
needs to be
6'8"
here.
door, 7 foot
That's
frame
all
and
it
rough
is.
So why are
open.
we looking at this? This
You
gets
put
so
it,
loud.
the white,
They don't
the
wanna do
light
that.
above
They
the
don't wanna do
above
this
the
anymore.
window
That doesn't work
not
either,
to have any light
This
for
is
the
no
front
longer-
door, since it is covered, and you're not gonna get in the front door.
You have side lights on the door as well, correct?
Yes, we do.
This one,
But I think what's happening is the transom may very well be
Against the house,
pushing
right?
the whole
That's going
east
against
up
the
a little
house.
too high, that's all we're
one's
suggesting.
in
So
line.
That one's in line.
Just
Well, we revised
That one's
that
in
now,
line.
so I just want to be sure all the board members are looking at the revised
make sure we're
plans
looking at the same
per your
thing. Okay.
advice.
Eight, do you
These are the
have-
plans,
ago.
these are the plans that we have in file.
What's the date?
That was on 3/20.
This is
That's-
March 27th.
March 27th.
4/20,
You have another set of plans that we are not aware of.
4/28, and they were revised. So those are the.
We
right
have
ones.
another set of plans that were May 1st.
Those were the first ones we actually submitted.
Yes.
So the May 1st is,
Yes.
make sure you agree. That is what you proposed.
That's what we're proposing.
So
The
it's
last time
May
we were
1st
here
with just the transient
on May
above,
4th.
not the arch.
Right. But we still said we had an
Still the
issue. Is
same-
it because
it's
it's
still
still
the same
sticking up above
problem.
the eave of the roof?
You're taking a very simple, graceful house, which is here, okay?
Great house.
And you're adding an element that juts out and protrudes in a way that is just not harmonious with the rest of the house. That's what we're trying to tell you.
Are the transients necessary?
Is the head transom, not the side transoms, but is the head transom possible to take that off, which would lower that roof and make it an anchor of the front entry? That's what we've been suggesting. from the
If we
beginning.
lower it lower than we have, we basically not really changing the front door element at all. Especially we're losing that big 3056. That window on the second floor, if you look on the plans on the bottom, that's a 3056 window on the second floor. We're eliminating that completely. So that peak from the top, that's at 16.8, it's going to the basically middle bar of that 3056 window. So that peak is now down to that height. That brings it down over 2 feet down lower. Width-wise, it's exactly the same because you have an 8'2" opening. That's what the floor is, that's what the front door is. So in that detail, just looking at the following pictures of the neighbor's house, we're trying to combine the columns, the front door, some more side, because basically in the front of the house, there's no more light except those windows on the left room and the windows on the right. There's not much detail or light for the front door and the foyer. And we're just trying to accommodate the front view of the house, and especially sunlight, natural light, instead of lights.
The effort burst to get light into the entry for you, right?
Right, at the last meeting,
Yeah,
I wasn't here, you were, I reviewed the tapes.
right.
Your sole collective recommendation was to take the light out of the transom and make it into a shingle structure.
Right,
So I asked Yarrick
right.
to do this again for the third time, and he did it. He did exactly what you guys said. He took the light out of the front and he put it into a shingle transom, and we have those plans to show you.
Okay.
These plans are the most recent plans, the third revision. That was the second revision.
Okay.
So
So let's-
I hope this
Something
meets
new.
with your,
This is something new.
hope this meets with
Okay.
that
Let's
one
have
One set or
recommendation.
two sets of plans?
I think there
Well,
are three.
let's
They're
take a
three.
look at it, I can share this.
No, they're 3 sets, he says.
I think there are three.
Oh, there's 3 of these? Okay. Yeah, yeah.
The same as that?
No, they took the transom out. They're still not understanding.
No,
Brian, you have
no.
to sketch this. They have to drop the whole thing down. Thank you. You have to, would you?
I think you're gonna get where you need to be. You just, maybe it's the AutoCAD that's showing it, but it's showing it way out
And
of
can you also do
proportion.
the side?
It's a beautiful house and the
My
effort-
question is there a reason why the pillars are so high? And it's reading that the pillars and your dog, as you said, your little dog house there, is this reading that is way too high. So it's standing higher than it should as it stands on the front entryway.
It's out of.
So you're looking at that we had an issue with the actual transients and as well as the light. It's the actual doghouse that's exceeding too high, and is how it's reading on the front of the house itself. So it's not the transient necessarily. It's how the doghouse is reading.
How high is it, and is this the only problem you find with this fourth revision?
It's been the very thing we've
The only
said over and
problem all
over and
along.
over again.
Okay.
So
If you look
how
at,
how high is it above what your recommendations would be?
Let's bring it down.
You're saying that it should be even with the eave, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
It should be even
It
with
should
the
be
eave.
even with the eaves.
You're gonna turn it a little more of an angle. Yeah. If the bottom portion, Bert, if the
Otherwise
bottom
it looks
portion
out
is
of
even
scale.
with the eaves of the rest of the house, it's going to bring balance and it's going to bring a lot of
Can you-
focus
can
towards
you
the
see the
door.
sketch?
Which is
Yeah,
what the-
I'm look, yeah, I can see
Which
it
is-
from here
which
too.
is-
I
That's
see
just
it.
shy of 11 feet, right
Which
that
guys,
view.
which is what all your photographs of the surrounding houses are showing.
Mhm.
Okay? I think it's a problem with AutoCAD and how it's laid in on the AutoCAD. It's not, you're not,
No, it's purpose to be higher. It's not AutoCAD. You want a grand entry,
Yes.
correct?
It's,
With natural light.
it's out of scale with the rest
The
of the
natural light
house.
would have been fine, and I think even the arch would have been fine. I think every feature and every element that you proposed would have been okay. It's just that how you're presenting the entryway to get that grand look that you're looking for, it doesn't read well. So if we can get that down so that it's even with the eaves,
so.
bring as much transient, bring the transient back in the
Transom.
front.
So what we're trying to do is get it
Sorry.
even with the eave so it matches the
No, if you
photographs
just
and the
hide it
houses,
in
and
that way.
the vernacular of the neighborhood,
Well,
that's
the
all.
first floor has a 9-foot ceiling, so if we drop those columns to a 9-foot ceiling, the header, above the columns,
Right?
will
Yeah.
be at the door height. So if you look above the door, that's a 7-foot door. If we keep it at the eave, that's why we're trying to open up above the front door so we have that natural light with the window above.
Still can't-
You're
still
not
don't
gonna
get
get any natural light. It's just gonna be.
But even with
flat
this,
top.
there's no purpose for the entryway to be so high. You lost that purpose when you got rid of the light, the windows
Yes, and
above.
especially that picture. That's the third revision of the
I
plan.
get it, but what you're doing is you're still not, I don't know where we're losing communication.
You have
Bring
an
it down.
excellent architect. You
And you'll
should
be
be able
fine.
to figure this out.
Thought he did figure it out.
And the point is, where we are right now, with the front of the house being, even if we lower it down that 11 feet, we're not gonna be able to even put anything above that window that has the natural light. It's just gonna be a big box that you're not gonna see any natural light. Especially the overhang being 5 feet, you're not gonna get any natural light from that front door. And the whole, and I know Dr. Greenberg brought in the third set of plans. I've seen them. My biggest opinion was is those don't work because you're not gonna get any natural light from them. At all.
Serves no purpose.
And, you know, I think if we can go back to the transit above the window on the second plan that was on 429, that's the plan that opens up that front door. It lowers the peak from the existing dog houses.
Okay, I have a question. You have a porch off the side, it's an element off the side of the house.
That's actually, yes, on the.
Have you
north side.
considered doing a different style entry with a railing that's coming across, not a useful porch, but a sort of a classic railing that projects and gets light in there as well?
Yes,
Funny
you
that
had
you
mentioned,
asked.
funny that you asked, Ken, because
You have a
we spoke
copy
about
with
that
you?
in December, but I didn't, care for that. And I like
Okay,
this.
Just asking. Just asking. Okay.
Brian, anything further?
No.
Christine? Esther?
I can't vote for it as presented, I'm sorry.
Ham?
No, I do think that one more stab at this, you'll get it.
I don't think we will. I think we'll leave the door the way it is.
Brian, you have a comment on
You know,
this that's pretty
there are other
basic.
ways to tackle this. If you did a much larger gable in the front and tied that into the eave, and then you stuck your entrance on that,
Then that's gonna work.
that would work. You know, because
still have a
this
transit.
is becoming flat here, and then you could do one of these entrances
not an
on it, and
expensive
you've tied the whole
option.
thing into the eave.
Well, on that view, Mr. Presley, that actually view, what you're saying with the eave out that further, we originally were that wide. We were about 12 feet. If you look on the 323 plan, that was actually 12 feet. So we actually shrunk it down to 12 to actually.
But it was just an entrance.
8'8".
It was just an entrance that was still out of scale with the rest of the house. I'm saying change the architecture of the house by creating a gable coming off the front and then applying an entrance to it.
And then you've got it.
The wider we go, it's really, and that a view of that house, you'll see that gable going into the living room, into the family room. So that roof really changes actually the whole aspect of the front of the
It's
house.
an applique, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything further?
I'm a little speechless, but I feel.
You're talking about the gable projecting out towards the street and having this inset into it, right?
No, I'm just talking about.
See what you.
Yeah.
Any public comment on the application? Anything further from the board?
Did you look at that?
Doesn't work.
I see what you're talking about. But that gable extends over into two adjacent rooms.
Correct. Yeah, but the
But it's
facade
on
wouldn't-
the outside of the house.
It's on the outside of the house,
Yes,
guys.
it doesn't affect the inside, but cosmetically, I think that's massively huge on the smaller view of the front of the home.
We don't think so.
Well,
Take a
it's
look
either
at it.
a scaled down entrance or a scaled up house to make your
But not
entrance
something
work.
that's in the middle that's pushing. I think you'll be happy.
Thank you, guys.
Motion to adjourn.
Applicant's report.
I don't think he cares.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application of Bert Greenberg at 146 Cooper's Farm Road.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next application, please.
Next application is Kearns.
285 Oakland Road.
I need to recuse on this one.
Okay.
There's nothing new in there.
Good evening.
Hi,
Evening.
my name is Violanda Franzisi, and I'm a project architect for the Kurtz residence with Brian Brady. I have a rendering and a second floor revised plan that I'd like to hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At the last hearing, there was an objection to having the Widow's Walk accessed from the second floor. So we removed all access from the second floor. And now there'll just be a railing on the roof.
What is the height of the railing?
The railing is 2 feet tall.
2 feet.
2 feet tall.
Railing's 2 feet tall. Is the roof in any way inset or reduced?
No, it's just gonna be.
There's no
flat.
access to it.
So there's no
yeah,
access
We
at all.
got rid of all of that.
So it's strictly decorative.
It's strictly decorative.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
Any public comment on the application? Christine, any comments?
No. I think-
Esther?
Thank you.
Thank you very
Good
much.
job.
I make a motion that we approve the application for Glenn Kurtz, 285 Old Town Road,
Without the.
with
without
no
Necessary
access
changes.
from the second floor and reducing the height of the railing to 2 feet.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next application, Wickapog Realty for construction of accessory pool house.
So sorry.
Need you do something?
Okay. How is this? Good evening.
Good job.
Affidavit of posting. Can you explain your project, please?
Yeah, it's a two-car garage with a
Existing?
pool house. No, new.
Some material on the roof, please.
It's a GAF asphalt shingle. Black.
Do you have a sample of the shingle?
It's matching main house.
And what's the main house? Do you have a photograph of the main house
No,
in
I
the
don't.
file?
It's just a charcoal.
You have a copy of the checklist for the Architectural Review Board in the file? The green sheet in the file, Mr. Chair? Is this still a legally complete file without a green sheet?
I don't think we have not
We
enforced
haven't
the.
used those in years, right?
Well, we were supposed to enforce the new master checklist for the building department. I don't believe that's been enforced as of yet, has it?
Sporadically.
Can we ask for a letter to be sent on behalf of the board to ask them to enforce the green sheet use again, as it was years ago? Okay, so without photographs of this house, I'm afraid I'm not going to vote on this application.
We actually, you did approve actually the asphalt shingles on the main house.
On
which
the
is
main
in-
house, but is it indicated that it's matching the house?
It says right here.
Brian, any comments?
It says,
No, it's an accessory structure at the rear of the lot. I think the view that you see from the house is quite attractive. The rest of it's just utilitarian. I don't have any issues with it.
Christine?
No, I don't have an issue with it. It'll go
Yes.
back. It's a long, narrow lot.
I think as long with the provision that you're going to match the asphalt shingles on the main house, I have no problem with the plan. I think it's a simple addition, conversion. I have no problem with it.
Wouldn't make any sense that you would not duplicate it, so it's part of the file now. It's also on plans, and you've said it as a record, it will be matching, correct?
yes, absolutely.
Any public comment on the application? Please step forward. If you can give way.
My name is Donald Whitaker. My wife and I live at 26 Cooper, and I think we probably are the closest neighbor to this applicant, sharing an east-west property line. Our property is directly north of theirs, so we're on the sort of leeward side of it, sound traveling that way. The north elevation, so that would be, this would be the elevation closest to us.
You are on the north.
There's a lot of excavation going on, so I assume that that's the placement. Do you have a site plan?
Yes.
My only concern, not of the design of the building, obviously, but the sound generated by the pool equipment.
Are you asking for a screening plan?
Yeah, I'd like to see some sort of screening, either, there are two new pools right next to us now.
So that,
One of them has put a wooden
survey
fence
that
up,
you-
which does offer quite a bit of, direct line of sound.
Yeah, the pool equipment is going to be everything in the back.
Well, that will screen it from your house, but not from mine, in terms of sound, so if
You're
it-
requesting of this board a screening plan, is
something,
that
yeah,
correct?
either vegetation or wooden fencing that would screen the pool equipment, which is usually just placed outside the building.
It will be screened regardless. There is actually,
Do you have it documented on the,
it's on a plan if you
show me where your,
the pool, it's pool equipment, it's not on it, but the pool equipment on behind the garage, so.
that's the
which is-
challenge, it's not there. We don't see it. I understand what you're
But the
saying.
screening is shown on the plan, is that
There
correct?
is bushes all around, actually.
Okay, can you identify those bushes in the next time around? Show what
Well,
the
it's
caliper
actually
is?
pre-existing arborvitae.
If you have photographs of those so the board can have a better understanding of what the existing addition is. The checklist requests the photographs so that we're not wasting our time or the neighbors.
That's a back of the property.
Can we enter that into the record then, please?
Our property line isn't shown, but
Put
it
an
appears that the
indication of
pool
what
will be
side of the
next to
house
our
that
property.
photograph
In
from.
fact, this garage and,
No, there is a driveway shape.
no, I understand.
Let
yeah,
us
yeah.
discuss.
So your-
My
your-
property comes in here.
Your concerns, sir, are the,
Sound emanating from the pool equipment.
okay.
We're on the leeward side, the window, I mean, we can hear the ocean, from our house, so, and our bedrooms are on that side, so we'd like to make sure that it's screened.
Well, the neighbors personally specified stated they had some issues with regards to pool equipment that you don't have documented on your site plan. You don't show it, you don't display it, it's not identified. So therefore, the screening is not complete because we don't know what's being screened or the area that's being screened, or if it's done appropriately. I would have your architect or who did your site plan to add that element here so that
What if we put the equipment in the garage?
That would be even
staying-
better, that'd be great.
It would be great. It would be great.
That would
Are
be
you
a
putting it in the
terrific
garage?
neighborly thing to do.
Okay, as part of your approval process, as part of the minutes for this meeting, that the pool equipment,
In the garage.
understand it's not enforceable by us, only enforceable by the building department. Sir, are you satisfied with that?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, would you need a screen plan in that case? Are you satisfied with this?
I wouldn't know if it's enclosed, then it's enclosed.
Okay, so the shingles are gonna match the existing house,
Was
the
it-
equipment's gonna be inside, and the screening plan is not necessary.
His house is brand new construction, actual building right now, so I would not even.
Yeah, I'm good
You
with
are
it.
you're the architect?
Yeah,
You're the builder?
Yes.
It's not the licensed architect.
Those plans by a licensed architect?
No, construction, it's under, it's less than, it's 750 square feet. I believe in this time.
The quick answer is no.
More than 1,000.
So if you want to make it subject to that, then.
To do a written decision.
I'm not necessarily concerned about the written decision part of it. I'm just concerned about making sure that accidents don't happen and it doesn't get fulfilled as part of the application process. Him signing it doesn't give any legal right, whether one way or another.
Well, it isn't part of the decision of the board, and it's acknowledgement of him, by him, that he's agreed to that, and the building department could certainly act on it, I think. If you want to wait, if you want to have him come
Only
back.
concern is he's the builder, he's not the architect, he's not the applicant. He's representing the applicant, he's giving you information.
Right,
saying so.
then let the letter be
The right way.
returned to the board by a licensed.
Absolutely. I just feel more comfortable, just for the neighbors' purposes and their security, that you position that and you have it associated, purposed on the actual site plan that you have.
And have him indicate that the
And have him
roofing
indicate
matches
on there,
the
so-
existing house as well. And you cover all.
Okay?
all-
It covers all mounds. Building department is doing a lot of work. They have a lot of responsibility. They can't oversee every single small detail. It's a small request of the applicant. You agree to do so. Just make sure it's documented on the.
And I would ask you if you could take photographs of the properties and put those in the file in the meantime as well.
The photographs you gave
Sure,
us,
it's picture from the house.
The
to
photographs
back.
you gave us is of a hole being dug. We need from the street, and from each compass point, inclusive of the street, okay? Not a big deal. Please get them in the file. Okay?
Any more public comment? Motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application for Newport Park Realty on 108 Halsey Street.
second.
All in favor?
All right. Next application, we'll see you at the next meeting. That's on the 8th, okay? All right. Next application is White's on 18 Hampton Road for exterior alteration.
John Bennett for the applicant. John Laffey, the project architect, is also with me. Handing up the affidavit of posting mailing. This is a application to change the facade on what you probably all know as the Southampton Stationery property on the south side of Hampton Road. And really, it's in the nature of a...
John, just a second.
Sure.
Affidavit of posting, affidavit of mailing. Okay, for the record. Sorry, go ahead.
You have the proposed facade changes in front of you, but really it's, as much as anything, it's in the nature of a modification. Facade change. The change, the existing facade is rather sort of steel, almost sort of 50s everything.
Thank you.
Not necessarily in keeping with the changing character of Hampton Road. What I'm handing you right now is what you have, what's been approved by the board in the past. And really what you have, that was about a few years ago. This is the existing facade. What you have is what you approved in the past for the facade change. The only, really we're just trying to modify that to do something I think which is actually more attractive. Instead of having the door.
Show that to the camera.
Just let him present before. You can-
Yeah,
you should show it. There. Terrific. What's the material, John?
It's all white, some of it's
What's yours,
AZAC.
John? So-
Oh, this John. Oh, go ahead, John.
This will be, it'll be white, AZAC trim. The idea is to try and link out the architecture with the Sedala building and the Hampton and that right, so that we have a confined, a uniform.
It looks great.
white facade.
So the only
So
thing
you're
is
centering the door, is that what it
centering
is?
the door.
Okay.
Centering the door and also adding.
One panel at the top.
Yes,
Yes.
but that's on the approved plan.
Mhm.
And we're also adding, similar to the Cinderella, building to the, what is that, to the
Same
east?
panels.
No, what do you call it?
Awning?
Yeah, the awning to it, it's a little bit different.
And here's the,
Very nice. Is that the swatch?
that's the swatch.
Black belt.
Good. Great, guys.
It's a huge
That's
improvement.
great.
I think it's part of the old Hampton Road Renaissance.
good,
there.
yeah.
It's really good.
Very nice.
Any public comment on the
Wrap
application?
this up?
Sounds good. We're done.
Any public comment on the application?
Nope.
Why is John Forster signing that application?
Yeah.
Time what?
Make a motion to approve the application of White's 18 Hampton Road and inclusive of the black swatch, the window adjustment, and the facade changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Next
Thank you very
application is Kenneth Schwartz, 155 Duck Pond. Kenneth Schwartz? Make a motion.
Yes, sir.
Did we wake you up? Second call.
No,
Next up.
wait, take it easy. He's coming in.
Okay. Are you Kenneth Schwartz?
I'm Kenneth Schwartzer.
Good for
Vincent
you.
Francis, my architect, who
Then you're the
will
architect?
speak on my behalf.
Okay.
Good
All right.
evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And these are for additions?
What, stop. Your name, sir.
Yes, Vincent Franz,
Name of your company.
Franze. Over
Thank
here,
you.
you want me?
Great, that'd be great.
Vincent Franz, Franze, with Franz and Franz Architecture.
Okay, present, please.
Representing Kenneth Schwartz, 155 Duck Pond Lane. Want me to stay here?
You have mics everywhere. Take
Okay.
it easy.
It's all good.
In general, this is a project consisting of alterations to an existing two-story single-family house. It also involves construction of a new pool house. All of the work that we're going to talk about tonight has been reviewed, just so you know, if you're not aware already, by the Zoning Board of Appeals with respect to a wetland variance.
It's a complete
So-
surprise.
Excuse me?
Nothing, go ahead.
So the ZBA has seen and approved this. The alterations consist of, the bulk additions are a second-story addition. Let's see, well, here's the front of the house.
Okay.
And here's the front, two images of the front of the existing house. Composite photo. So on the right, there is a forward-facing gable second-story addition. We're also adding a portico at the front door, and we're proposing.
I'm really confused, I'm sorry.
That's existing.
That's existing and this is
That's
proposed,
Right.
right? Okay.
So this shows on your left, apologize, on your
It's
looking
okay.
to your left is a second-story proposed addition, forward-facing gable. It also shows proposed dormers on the main roof and a proposed portico at the existing front door, as well as enhanced trim, moldings, windows, corner boards, just beefing that up. We're going to maintain the color of the house, the sawn shingles, the cedar roof, all will match existing.
Goes to, add to that.
Here is just another harder angle of the front of the house.
Why don't you have a freeze board included in your fascia detail of the returns?
Say it again, please.
Why do you not have a freeze board pronounced on the gable that you're proposing, page left? It's a question.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I guess just in considering the overall trim and the details on the house and contemplating proportions but that's.
You have a freeze on the first floor above the 2 6/1s?
You have a freeze on the
Low.
first floor.
Is there a freeze across there on the fascia? Is that a
Here?
fascia? I can't tell.
Yes.
On your drawing.
Yes, there is.
There's a freeze there.
Yeah, and at the main roof line.
At the
and-
main
and
roof line.
At each
So-
of the eaves.
And then the one inclusive of the chimney, is there a detail there too, to the right, your right?
Here.
Yeah.
That,
Is there a frieze incorporated
No.
into the fascia?
no, all the gables are treated the same.
The gables are treated the same?
Yes. All the gables are treated the same. The chimneys exist.
And
But
could
for
you
the
point
second-
to the side facing street, please?
I'm sorry.
Where is the street in relation to the,
So, thank you. This house exists at a cul-de-sac.
right,
So,
and how far back is the, go ahead.
well, I was just going to say that this is basically the view of the house from the center of the cul-de-sac.
Right.
The view of the house is kind of radial from the cul-de-sac. The rear,
So you're increasing the roof, adding gables.
when you
dormers,
say increasing the
dormers.
roof, just to clarify, we're not making the building taller in terms of the height of the main roof.
They're adding a second story. on
We're adding
the
a second story
You're adding a,
There.
here, but because of the perspective, and I have, oh, here's elevation.
just
Perspective
FYI,
is
just
odd.
FYI going forward,
Yeah.
if you present before this board again, smaller sets,
Okay,
That we can handle it
so we
here.
can handle them independently.
sure,
Just makes life a lot easier.
happy to do it.
Challenge I have is that it reads as a three-story building.
Excuse me?
It reads as a three-story building.
Okay. Because of the dormers being added to the main roof.
Yep.
Okay. I appreciate that. My only thought in response to that is with a traditional two-story, five-ranked colonial house, dormers fitting into that, the window scheme, traditionally is not, I mean, far from unusual. I'm not saying that it disputes what your perception of it. I'm just suggesting that it's very consistent with the traditional style of this home.
But the number of the dormers that you're adding to it adds and reads as a three-story structure.
I appreciate that.
Have you read our village guidelines as far as dormers and
No,
the mulling of
finishing our
windows together
comments.
instead of individual pieces and so forth? And you have a lot going on there. You have what is a half-round window rather than an eyebrow or something that's more traditional in the neighborhood. Have you got a panorama of adjacent houses in that neighborhood of Duck Pond? Do you have a streetscape?
With me, no, I don't.
Okay, that's normally on the checklist, so I'd hate to waste your time by not using the checklist again to show streetscapes and photographs of houses in the area. But nevertheless, I'd like to visit the site, take a look at the application in terms of viewing it from the street. But I'd like to see an inclusion of better moldings that are going to be particularly up on the second floor as being proposed, such as frieze board. And as a suggestion, the dormers look out of scale, and I do agree with the other board member that has mentioned that it does appear, two board members, it appears as if it's a third floor there. It should be a bit more submissive, and let the projection of the first and second floor be a little bit more profound. Take a look at the surrounding houses, and the houses that have either bell dormers or engaged dormers within the roof lines. I think you'll find it a little bit more subtle. Having the appendage of a half-round window that I know is probably over your stair tower and your entry and so forth, maybe that could be more of a dormer rather than an appendage of a light there.
Okay,
Okay.
and I think you're visiting the site is a great idea.
We often do. I didn't have a chance to look at this, but this is a substantial addition on this house. Even if it's in a cul-de-sac, doesn't necessarily give it license to appear as a three-story building.
It's not much in terms of the overall addition, but the added features that you are presenting give a more grander look. And I know that's what the applicant probably wants. He wants his home to look more grand, have a more of a street appeal, but the street appeal that you're presenting shows a little bit more than what we want to do, and we're trying to temper down homes, and I'm sure you've heard the arguments
Right.
this evening about the size of homes in Southampton Village.
Right.
Would you show the...
Hold on one
existing-
second, let me
sorry.
finish.
And the proposed.
Presenting features that expand on that would definitely not be something that will be supported by this board.
Okay. Again,
Would you show the existing to the camera and the proposed, please? Next to each other and also to the audience? Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Chair, didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay.
The lower one is the existing, the upper is the proposed, and what the board is saying is it has an issue with the half-circle windows and some of the detail and the dormers, making it appear as if the house is 3 stories rather than the existing. Can you show just this slide too, please, to those guys? Thank you.
Brian, do you have any comments?
No, I agree. Can you hold up the elevations?
This is rear elevation.
In the front?
Front elevation, I actually have on a roll in the hall. I'm happy to pull that out.
Do you want to
for
go get it?
Yeah.
While you're getting that, Christine, any comments?
It's the eyebrow window that I wanted to take a look at.
Yeah.
It's halfway between a half round and an eyebrow, and
mix.
it needs to come down a little bit.
We have some photographs in the file that have some concerns about screening.
We'll get to that in a minute, and that has to be read into the record.
Smaller plans.
Vincent, when you give us small set drawings for the next meeting, would you
Can you
be
read
kind
that into
enough
the
to give
record?
us existing and proposed underneath on one sheet for each elevation?
Sure.
Thank you.
That's easy to
Then
do.
you're not pushing all these things around.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's your straight-on front elevation.
I think you need to work on that eyebrow
I think it
and the
needs to
dormers.
be
The eyebrow and the
simplified,
dormers, yeah.
Dormers and eyebrow. We're all in agreement.
It's really top-heavy, very busy.
Can you turn that and show that to the camera, please?
I'm not going to read it.
Yeah.
And then just a little more to your left, sir. Thank you.
There's a letter in the file that needs to be read into record.
May 24th. Dear Chairman and members of the board, I'm unable to attend the public hearing on May 27th and request that this letter be read into the public record of the hearing regarding the application of Kenneth Schwartz, 155 Duck Pond Lane, for 1- and 2-story additions to the existing dwelling and to construct a new pool house. I reside at 77 Murray Lane, immediately to the south of the Schwartz property, with a common boundary of more than 400 feet. The proposed construction is located at the minimum allowed distance from the common property line and will cause a significant intrusion upon my use of my property. The proposed application will place an unfair burden on my property. A primary purpose of architectural review is to avoid inappropriate locations of buildings and structures which adversely affect the desirability of immediate and neighboring areas. The village code requires that certain of the proposed structures, primarily the pool and the area within the pool fence, be moved further from the common property line, and also requires the installation of a fence and effective screening. Mr. Schwartz is proposing to expand the second story of the existing house and build a back extension with a roof deck. He also proposes to construct a 37-foot long, 16-foot high plus cupola pool house, a 12-foot patio, and a 40-foot pool that will run linearly 35 feet from the property line adjacent to my house. By choosing to build a large 37-foot pool house, an extended 12-foot patio, and remove the current pool to construct a new 40-foot pool next to the line and exactly next to my house, Mr. Schwartz is applying to put 90 feet of continuous structures only 65 feet from my house and along the entire length of my house. The area enclosed within the pool fence is within 10 feet of the property line. This is in addition to the existing 30-foot garage that sits along the same line. I will soon be looking at a solid 37-foot wall and cupola and be immediately subject to the noise generated by a recreational area, pool house, and pool 40 feet from the entire length of my house. The pool equipment, not shown on the BV survey, dated 11/25/2013, will create an additional nuisance. Mr. Schwartz removed all the established evergreen plantings that were screening along the same line. He installed cryptomerias 20 feet apart, some distance from the shared line. These are thin, deciduous trees that, while lovely for Mr. Schwartz to look at, offer no effective screening at all from the wall and the noise. I will lose all privacy, and the value of my property will be diminished by Mr. Schwartz's construction. I have enclosed 2 photos for your information. My house is on the footprint of the original house in the Murray compound which was built at least 90 years ago to what was then a potato field. My house is 30 to 35 feet from the common boundary, but is far smaller with a facade facing the common property line directly across from the proposed pool and pool house. There is an approximately 100-year-old privet hedge on my property along the shared line, which is very thin and an inadequate screen. I am doing my best to bring this old hedge back to health, but it is inadequate and also loses its leaves during the cold season, leaving no screening. The application should include a landscaping plan which provides effective screening. An effective screen would be evergreen trees, such as green giant arborvitae of significant height, which is what most other people in similar circumstances install. I am unable to do this because of the proximity of my house to the line and the location of my driveway. I appreciate your help with this matter. Suzanne Draghi.
Who?
I think is it Draghi?
I have no idea.
Okay, so if I may,
Record the name.
given that this has been read into the minutes publicly, if I may respond to some of that. As the zoning board of appeals has recognized.
Shame on you, Brian.
It was off.
It won't surprise the board to know that this neighbor raised some objections when we were before the zoning board of
I was
appeals.
just going to comment that those are zoning issues and had no, that we do to have jurisdiction to refer to site plan concerns or issues.
Okay. But if I may, please, because this has been read publicly, and I'll keep it very brief.
Sure.
Just to understand that the zoning board has considered all of these virtually all of the same objections, and the board has recognized publicly that there, with respect to the zoning in the village of Southampton, these complaints are all unfounded. Some of them are inaccurate, but I just wanted
If
to
you
be
could
able to
just
say
do a
that.
Google Earth for us, showing your property and the adjacent properties, and we can determine what's inaccurate
Yep.
or not.
Plantings were extensively scrutinized because of the fact that it was a wetland variance that we sought. So the planting plan was developed and
You had a
redeveloped
landscape
and-
plan as part of the application?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You entered into.
Charlie Martyrs did the landscape plan.
Is that a part of the record that we have currently?
Why don't you make it so?
I don't know, but we can easily
Why don't you do
make
it?
sure that you do have that. So that being
Mind you,
said,
that even though there's an approved landscape plan, this board still has jurisdiction to add more, or request to add more.
I understand.
your
And ask for more screening.
your concerns are obviously particular to this board, and we appreciate that. I just wanted to be clear that some of the things that our neighbor is opposing, you know, in fact, are
Okay.
completely as of right.
If I may, honorable board, in listening to that letter, the screening is the privet, and we did do a cut so that the privet will come back deeper and more opaque. In fact, it is an opaque screen in summer. We've cut it so that it will come back stronger and fuller and deeper. And so, and I will say on the record that in season, and even out of season, before we deep cut so that it will come back fuller, it is a completely opaque screen. And there's another thing that I would like to point out, that when we went to the zoning board of appeals, and a similar type letter, a little briefer than that, was submitted to the record, and the zoning board said, oh, that's Mrs. Draghi? No, this is when we went for the permit. This is when we went for the permit.
Okay.
No,
Mr. Schwartz, I think we're getting
I
off
just-
topic.
No, well, if I may just make one small point. When we went to the building department to get our work permit, and the woman across the counter saw where we were located, and she made a comment about the resident who wrote this letter, that she writes letters, she's
Okay.
unfortunately an angry person.
You're getting into character and all that.
But it's really,
That's-
she's an unreasonable.
We
We're
understand.
a good neighbor.
We
wanna do the
understand,
right
we
thing.
just don't want to
I understand.
have that type
but I
of
just
conversation
bothered
on
me.
record.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Any public comment? You have a question?
Well, only that we didn't talk about the pool house.
No,
You
we
have
didn't,
work to
did
do.
we?
You have a lot of work to do.
You've got some
We'll
more.
get
Let's
to the
concentrate on
last
your dormers, on the,
Okay.
maybe on looking at a softer third story, and then come back with some options. Please, unless you guys have any suggestions.
Is there anything
We have a lot
specific
on
about the
the
pool
agenda.
house that you had concerns with, Brian?
No, I like the pool house.
Christine?
No.
Esther?
I think the pool house is lovely, actually.
Thank you.
Unless you want to present, it doesn't make any sense.
No?
Okay,
Pool
so
house.
there are other issues you have in terms of the, especially the streetscape, the street facade, the
The
dormers?
Google Earth.
Google Earth,
Google Earth.
dormers,
The landscape plan.
there are multiple things that you have to take in consideration and hopefully come back with smaller plans with some adjustments and changes.
Some freeze board details would be nice.
Any other questions?
Nope.
And also add to it the landscape plan that that was priorly. Anything further from the public, anything further from the board?
Yes,
The
don't
re-
forget the existing,
Excuse me?
the existing elevations and the proposed elevations on the
On
same.
one small sheet.
Mhm. For each
So that you can
facade.
prepare your information, are you requesting this board to adjourn?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz, did you have another comment?
I think I'll rest.
Good.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant Kenneth Schwartz request to adjourn 155 Duck Pond Lane to our next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Application of Andrew Starr for amending a ridge height change. Good luck, guys. Thank you.
I have many sets, I don't know what you have in your file or not.
The sets match the duplicates that are in, the sets that are in here?
They should.
Oh, okay.
but,
They do or they should?
this was a reapplication, the plans have not changed, so then they do.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You gotta simplify that. What you're presenting, what you're handing us now,
The extras.
they're extras, and they duplicate, they
match.
replicate what's in file currently.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me just look at the date, please. What is your major thing? You're adjusting a ridge?
Yes, what happened is, do I need to say
What's
my
the
name
change
for
in
the
the
record?
lead?
Name for the record,
Let me
please.
start with there, okay. My name is Mary Riley from the firm Ione Renaissance, 732 Smithtown Bypass,
Mary, and
Smithtown.
how much higher is the ridge or lower is the ridge going or changing and shifting in direction?
Let me get you to the right page. We are changing it 3'6", approximately. Contractor, after the permit was issued, made some changes with the homeowner, resulting in us having to file an amended set of plans. And if you go to,
A4?
there's a sheet that says ARB on it in your set. It's toward the end, second from the back. It will show you the approved elevation for which we were granted from you and the building department. And now it will also show you right next to it the
Which sheet are you on?
proposed.
The second to the last.
ARB sheet?
The clip cable and,
Yes, because of the sky plane, we had to
Sky
put the
plane.
gable.
and you're increasing, okay.
So the new ridge height is 24.8.
The new ridge height is 27.7. The previous approved application was 24.1.
On current application on the ARB file page, second to the last, it says top of new ridge.
24.8, I'm sorry, the notes are wrong. Yes, the plan says 24.8 on the,
I'd like to see a clarification letter from the
22.
building department when we look at this.
yes, it went up about 2'6", 2'8".
The previous application was
22.
22, and the new is 24.8, but there's something crossed out on both of these. The
Crossed
same
out.
line on both.
That's not crossed out, that's the,
No, it's a delineation
that's
line.
the diagonal for the fraction. It came out very
One
thick when it
side.
prints small, I'm
It's
sorry.
about 2'6",
Yeah.
2'8", rather.
It's 2'6". And what I have is a revised rendering showing the new scale with the ridge height
Brian, comments?
and a streetscape.
I'm still thinking.
Ham, comments?
Well, a couple little details. On the folds on the roof, what was the reason for you folding and making a hip out of the roof?
Because we hit the sky
Try to
plane.
hide the elevation?
No, we hit the sky plane,
You hit the sky plane. So
so we pulled it back.
I'd like to see the building department, I'd like to see a pyramid sky plane on this so that we can make a judgment that's rational. I think you need to go in front of ZBA. I like the original previous application look on this. The folded, at least that's my opinion, the folded hips, there's no natural space between the slate fold and the fireplace, although I know there's going to be a cricket in there. Fenestration isn't really changing, but the whole read of the roof is very odd to me.
Esther?
I'd like to see the streetscape as well, if you
Would you like
wouldn't
me to
mind.
pass it up to you?
Yeah,
Can you
that'd be
show
great.
that to the camera, that elevation, please?
Right next to the apartment building.
What's that?
Yeah, it's right next to the apartment building on
Yeah.
Layton. So there's no massing issue.
No messing issue.
Is this already built? Is that the problem?
They started building it, and the contractor made changes on the fly.
Just to get more ceiling height on the second floor, probably.
I don't know, he changed enough of the plan. When it sits for too long, I find with clients and contractors, they think a lot and make a lot of revisions, and that's what happened at the end of this. So we filed amended plans, and the ridge ended up getting higher.
I'm sorry, you're saying that this is already done. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know if it's already done. I have not been to the job site. I don't know if
You
it's
get a
already
status
done.
letter from the building department?
I
That I
live
don't
around the
know.
corner. It's not.
It's not done.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Your comments, Brian?
I think with the addition of the roof, it's going so tall, or the windows look small.
Yeah.
And I think also for some reason, the first floor, I want to see them spread out more from the porch. And then looking at the plan, it would work well on the plan if they would be centered in the rooms. I think that would help it.
But just for a note, you guys approved the previous application with those windows on the first floor as they are.
Yeah, but then you just
Yes,
increased the
but
roof.
the way they were relating to that
Raising the
roof is
wall up.
different than the new roof.
You changed the dimensions, so obviously you'll.
Right, so the scale is.
scale's off.
Scale's
The scale is off at this
Right.
point.
Any public comment on the application? Anything further from the board?
No,
Brian, any issues?
I have issues with them. The windows look small.
Okay. Windows.
The second floor windows.
Second
Yeah,
floor.
they're out of
They're
scale
out of
now by
scale.
changing the roof.
Seems that there are multiple questions. A, the windows look out of scale. Secondly,
Sky plane.
sky plane. Clarification on whether, as submitted, it does meet pyramid law.
Stamp. Stamped by the architect and surveyor.
Well, he has a sky plane, I guess his
Surveyor.
interpretation of including it in part of the plan, but I don't think it's thorough enough.
It looks like,
What
Sarah,
is
it looks
it?
like this is being completely forced to meet the sky plane.
Well, that's
I think
exactly
it
what's
needs to be
being-
documented
It's exactly what
on
he said.
from a surveyor. Can I hand that back to you? Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, well, you want it from a surveyor?
Yeah, sky plane that's stamped in by a licensed architect or a licensed surveyor.
We can get clarification.
As it
Okay,
relates
so
to
you want
both
it on the
the,
set of plans?
Yeah.
Showing that, oh, absolutely, we can do
and
that for
any
you.
surveyor can do that for you.
We can do that for you. I'm sure I can have the design professional of record take care of that for you as well.
Thank you.
As long as it's legal.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Are we back next month?
Uh,
Are we adjourned?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
okay.
So you're
Monday-
requesting,
Monday.
are you requesting an adjournment until you
Yes.
get that information?
Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant Andrew Starr at 14 Layton Avenue, request to adjourn to our next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next application is for Strong's Neck Realty, conversion of attached garage. You state your name for the record, sir?
Chuck Thomas,
Why
architect,
it's showed
the
as-
It's
applicant.
amazing what difference it makes.
Yeah, just bring it.
Good evening. This application is to modify an existing house. We're going to convert
Sorry, one
existing...
second. Affidavit of posting and affidavit of mailing for the file. And mini sets, which are great. Thank you.
The existing elevations are on the last page. If you flip to that, I didn't put them on the same page, but I heard the comment.
On page
Last page.
A001.
Yep. That's the existing house. This is a photograph. I enclosed the existing photographs and the houses adjacent in my file.
Okay.
That is the existing house. It was built in the late 90s. Has vinyl siding, asphalt roof, aluminum trim, aluminum wraps
I
on.
see you've included the sky plane in the application as
Yes, I
well for
did.
reference.
Yes, I did. And I reviewed
Okay.
this with Tim, the building inspector, just to make sure that
Okay.
there was one portion that was pre-existing,
So this dormer over here?
it's not a dormer, it's reverse gable, if you look at the side
I'm sorry,
elevation.
it's through there, right?
Yep, that's an
Okay.
existing
And your
condition.
material on the roof is what, sir?
We're removing the asphalt roof shingles, and we're gonna install red cedar roof.
Okay. And the siding on this house?
We're removing the vinyl siding and installing red cedar shingles,
Okay.
natural.
And the fenestration is as shown? right?
Yes, sir.
And the chimneys, what is the material?
There's gonna be brick, Danish blend.
Okay.
Just want to, for purpose of record, that the property is not in a historic district, but I'm sure the board will agree that it still represents a community of interest, and that we need to be sensitive in terms of overall design features as well as material being used, just for record purposes.
Absolutely. That was one of our intents, of removing all of the vinyl and asphalt components of this property.
Provide us with a three-dimensional model of this,
Have I?
can you?
I could.
Okay. And then, do you have a site plan showing any screening? You're on Meeting House Lane, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. The site plan is included in that package.
Okay, and what page, sir?
It'll be the second to last page, you can read.
Okay.
Page 4.
Okay, and your side yard,
There's existing privet hedge, and I have photographs showing all the existing landscaping on this property that we are going to maintain. It is an established, mature privet hedge.
So you're not, you're not increasing any square footage other than the
Right,
enclosed garage that's being added to it, correct?
Well, just to be 100% accurate, we are adding 30 square feet, sir, to the footprint.
okay. So can you walk me through please, on A001 elevation, on the front elevation as it's called, and the right side elevation west? Can you
Sure.
tell me what you're making changes to precisely?
Sure.
This is
Um,
incorrect.
Please.
It looks like they're adding on above the garage.
Yeah.
We are,
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
They're converting garage into living, and they're adding
We're adding a
on.
master
Adding
bedroom.
Adding
above the
above
garage.
it.
Okay.
Master bedroom,
And then they're adding it-
bathroom, and
Okay.
a family room.
Got it.
Okay.
okay, I see it.
New master bedroom.
And the garage that you're proposing,
An
is
entry
basically
addition.
moving a garage from the house.
Correct, we are adding a detached
Yes,
garage.
But excluding the garage conversion, it's not 60 square feet, the garage is probably another 400, right?
It's,
No, he's giving the new
total
square
square footage on the
footage of
second
the-
floor is 618 square
Okay,
feet.
so 618 and then
I-
6, so you got about almost 700 square foot
Correct.
addition. Okay, so let's just talk about that.
Okay,
So what else are we
I
doing on the-
misunderstood about it, a footprint.
Whatever. What are we doing on the facade here that's different on Meeting House Lane?
Okay, we're adding,
It doesn't say anything
aside
about
from the
second
material
floor.
changes,
Yep.
we're adding windows. The existing elevation,
When you're talking about the front elevation, you're talking about Meeting House Lane?
Meeting House Lane.
Okay, so you're talking about the south elevation then, right? Or no?
That would be the north
North
elevation.
elevation.
North elevation.
Got it, okay.
We're on the south side of it.
Okay.
He just
Um,
figured it out incorrectly.
We're, what's that?
What are you doing with the chimney? You moving that forward?
We are moving it forward up until this,
So the chimney currently sets
it's set
basically
back. between-
beyond into the house
Into
itself.
the house,
You're
correct.
proposing pulling the chimney forward towards Meeting House Lane
Correct,
and panelizing it between floors.
correct,
Okay, at least on the first and the second.
yes,
And then brushing through the top gable, correct?
yes.
Just for
Nice.
point of clarification, this is more of an alteration and addition more than just, how the application is being read. It's just a conversion from garage to living. There should be more detail in terms of the overall
Yeah, because
scope of work that's being done.
Adding a floor.
Adding floor, adding windows, siding,
Chimneys.
chimneys. more being done than just adding
I'd
square
like to
footage.
see a
to the garage.
3D that shows existing and proposed, so
What do
that
you think
brings
the
clarity.
notice is? Are you questioning the
3D,
notice?
electronic 3D.
If you receive this in the mail, you see just adding garage. You don't know that the entire front facade is being changed.
Adding a garage, but it's
It's Charles, right?
adding a
Yes.
building.
Okay, so, can you clean up?
One second. And
Sorry.
because of that, because of the legalities, I'm just questioning reposting.
I agree.
You'd want to
Yeah,
repost,
I agree.
remail.
Repost, remail,
Yep.
to be thorough and be complete.
It's a major alteration.
It's,
It's a major
Much
thing.
more than 300,000.
And
Yeah.
these are your neighboring houses, right?
Correct.
When you give us photographs in the future, you should mark them on the back, what they are.
what I discussed with council is that the application as it reads, it's not
understand-
thorough enough.
The building department.
Hear me out, just
Okay.
please explain to me. I'm sorry, let me explain to you. The issue we have is this got posted and mailed as just completing a garage, adding the garage to
And it's
living
not.
space. And it's not, it's so much more than that. And it could be read as it's false advertisement. So we want to make sure that that the neighbors know, specifically Meeting House Lane, that they know exactly what's happening with this project thoroughly.
We like to be harmonious over here on the South Fork.
I like to be harmonious as well.
Right, okay, good.
The
So-
building I reviewed this with the building department, they wrote up the wording for that.
Understandable, but we're gonna ask them to repost, and we're gonna ask you, and then you're
I
coming back
understand.
with a 3D, is that correct? Modeling?
I would prefer not to.
Well, I'm asking you to, though.
Do you have an issue with the design itself?
No. I mean, I have an issue with some of the fenestration, but the overall massing and
Would
the
you like
adding
to
of
see
the
a
second
model on
story.
this, just a simple 3D?
I don't need
You
that.
think it's
Just
necessary?
For
Okay,
the
fine.
second story above the garage, no.
Okay, can you give us an indication of what's new and what's existing, instead of it being on a separate page, being on the same page? Hash mark it?
Sure.
Is there currently a third floor?
There is no current third floor, and we're not proposing a third floor.
Okay.
But you're adding windows up
You're
there.
adding
We're adding
windows on the third
windows
floor.
This is the gable end that projects.
Right, I can see that in there, right.
And we are trying to address that.
So it's just for decoration
It's
on the.
decorative, it's
decorative
not a
only.
third floor.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Those are
That's a good
windows
step,
to an
then.
attic that has an attic scuttle. That
I think
is,
it's so helpful
that is
if
all.
they would
Any public comment on the application? Please step forward.
To be honest with you, I just came here to see what it's
Look at the
like.
chimney.
I have caretaken this house for
And
20
this is
years.
brick in the front.
This house, Pam, was Dr. Jagiello's home.
Yeah, no, I know the house.
And not that you have to recuse yourself or anything, but
It's not my doctor.
I will be very happy to give you your signs and everything that are in the garage.
Oh, I did work on this about
Right,
15 years ago.
right,
Yeah,
when
but I don't even know her anymore.
Well, she's
I don't even know-
deceased.
Is she deceased? Okay.
She's
Would you guys
Anyway.
like to give a phone call later on?
Great. So
It's
don't
a little
worry.
late in the evening.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Reconnect.
But, I just
Tell her I
came-
said hi for me.
Oh, right.
Do you have a specific
not now.
question about the project?
No, I just came because right now these people don't own this house. They don't have title. So I came for the owner of this home to see what it was going to look like.
Okay,
And to be honest with you, I think it's an improvement.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further
Right.
public comments? Okay,
The public noticing,
yeah.
that is going to. put
Seems
me-
like it was effective.
That's the contract vending. So the public noticing would put me out into the end of July.
It's a month before, so, let's see. If you want to get on,
The reason I'm asking
no,
is I
June
just-
22nd, you can get on too.
Yeah.
If we post it by May 22nd.
If you post it, you get on June 22nd.
It's already past May 22nd.
May 22nd?
Yeah.
I'd be happy
It's
to.
not going to
I
work.
would have had
Go
this
back in time
redone.
with.
So you're in July, yeah.
Yeah, I've just, the notice of posting
You're in July.
was done by the building department.
You haven't even bought the property yet, correct?
Come on, I don't want to get into who purchased, that's irrelevant.
It's not our
to-
business.
Irrelevant to the application. Procedurally,
Yeah.
we have to set certain standards. We want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to know how thorough the application is.
Okay.
We want to make sure that the application is properly posted and mailed,
Okay.
and that is vetted out in the appropriate manner, so.
Can I ask this board then to write what?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean,
Okay,
sorry. No, we're not right. That's your responsibility as the applicant to write the posting, the mailing, make sure that it's filled out and it's sent and it's done in an appropriate manner. So I understand that you're saying the building department did it for you.
Yes.
I can't comment on what the building department
Okay.
did. I can only comment on this board's, what they feel, what we feel in terms of our jurisdiction to move further in the application. And right now, we don't feel that
You don't
it's
have a
safe
comfort level, I got it.
and
And I'd like
comfortable.
to see
before.
clear delineations between what you're doing and what you're not doing on one page, whether it's done in a 3D or it's hash marked or both.
File.
It's a tool for the neighbors to be able to comment on the project,
Very well.
okay?
All right?
All right.
If you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
Do you have any other comments architecturally that I should address?
Just clarity.
Okay, very good. Thank
Are
you.
you asking for an adjournment until you get that information and the posting as well?
I believe it's, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant Strong Neck Realty LLC at 190 Meeting House Lane, request to adjourn to our next meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next application is John Dios for construction of open accessory pergola with a roof-mounted solar panel. 38 Elm Street.
I'm Debbie Croft. I'm here for the owner, Rose Dios, and the architect, Anthony Morali.
How big is the pergola that you're proposing?
Pardon me?
How big is the pergola?
How big is it? It is 8 feet tall and it slopes up to, what is it? 9.5
9 and a half
feet.
feet. It's on the first story, obviously. It's not
It's-
on the second story.
It's not on the second story. It's right next to the pool.
Okay, so it's on the east side of the property?
It's on the east, yes, east side of the property. Yeah, so it's 6 feet from the pool fence.
I didn't know we had to get an
Yeah,
application.
I
It's
was
a
going to
building.
ask you, why are we looking
Why
at a
are we
pergola?
looking at this?
I don't know. I mean, the building department said it needed to go before the ARB.
Is it enclosed?
No,
Is there a
It's a
foundation?
Is it
structure.
attached to the building?
attached to
it's
the
not
building?
attached to the building.
So it doesn't need to come in front of us. So,
It's because
want
of
to do
the-
a declaration?
Is it because of the solar
Because
panels?
of the solar panel?
You have an answer? Do you have something?
Because of the solar panels.
It's because solar panels? I don't have any issues with this.
Because it's.
I think it's a great idea.
It's
Wanna
great,
approve?
I think
It's a great idea.
Make a motion to approve the application.
You waited for a long time.
Make a motion to approve the application of the pergola and solar panel for John Dios, 38. Motion's on the floor.
Motion, is there what, public comment on the application?
Here's the affidavit of posting.
Okay.
The mailing is already.
Is there any
filed.
public comment on the application? Anything further from the board?
No.
This was a waste of time.
This was an honor.
There's a motion on the floor.
Yes, I'd like to,
Okay, yeah.
There was a motion, is
I
there a
think we
second?
should,
Is there a second,
second.
please?
I
I
believe
make a
they
motion
brought
we
the
approve
solar
the
panel.
application of John
for you to
Dios
look
of
at.
38 Elm Street.
You want us to look
Second.
at solar panels?
Fine, done.
I think it's good for the camera to
Robert
see
Geary, the
this. Just a
fourth,
second, Ham.
475.
I think it's a great thing for the public to see what can be
Make everybody
done.
put them on.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
It's a way of integrating solar and sustainability without putting it on the architecture of an existing home on the roofs, which most of the time is done.
Good,
And
looks
these
good.
panels are special called east-west panels, so they don't need to be on a 22-degree angle, they could be almost flat.
That's, can you turn that around?
And now you want
And
to
where are
see it?
these manufactured?
Where they manufacture.
Where? In Germany.
In
They're
Germany.
manufactured in the US, and then we also have other ones that we use that are very similar. Canadian Solar makes a great panel
Great.
and stuff like that.
How often do you have to clean them?
Okay, it is, we're
Thank
proceeding
you.
on, we thank
Clean
you.
them just with a hose and they
It's
last
been
for
moved
25
and
years.
seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think we've.
Thank you, guys, we really appreciate you spending the time and
Okay,
waiting.
9:30 PM.
Last application for this evening.
Robert Geary, the fourth, 475 Hill Street for a new house and a garage and a pool house. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Lisa Zaloga. I'm the architect for Robert Gary the Fourth. I also have Tony Tohill here if you have any legal questions. I have baby sets for you.
Okay, how many square feet is the house?
4, 5.
Proposed house?
4586, I don't know,
Less
give me
than
a second.
5,000?
Less than 5,000.
Okay, and how big is the lot, please?
The lot is 27,442.
Okay. It's a little more than a half an acre, is that correct? My math right? Okay, so it's 5,000 or 4,800 square foot house on a half an acre. And that, is that inclusive of the pool house and the
The lot
garage?
coverage is shown on the survey. The lot coverage is, that was the GFA I was giving you. The lot
affidavit
coverage,
of posted mailing, posting of mailing and posting?
total proposed lot coverage is 5315.
And the allowable is 5342.
Correct. Are you all familiar where this house is located?
Do you have a copy of the survey?
No?
file?
Yes, I do. Should be surveys in the file too.
What is the material?
Cedar
Lisa,
shingles.
do I have a copy of the survey?
We have one.
It's in file. You have the file down there, I think.
Here.
I got it, sorry.
Do you want it? Yeah?
No, sorry, my mistake.
Okay.
I just want to compare your site plan to the survey, so.
Okay.
Cedar shingle roof.
Cedar shingled roof, Marvin windows,
Chair, can I just ask a
Glengarry
question?
Danish brick.
What is that?
Hold on, it's an old survey.
That's an old survey.
Which is-
That's the existing.
That's the existing, that's the proposed.
So this property is located on a right-of-way off of Hill Street,
Which one is it?
all the way back here, about 600 feet off of Hill Street. So we come down, we zig, we zag,
It's on that flag.
Right.
and we get down there.
Is it seen from any right of way or any street or
house has
any
been
purview,
torn down.
anything? Can you see the house at all?
No. You can see, this is the right-of-way, this is the amount of right-of-way that touches our property. So
So it's
from
not
that-
visible from Hill
600
Street?
No, not from Hill Street.
Thank you for that.
This also shows you all the other houses and pools and pool houses and everything surrounding us.
Do you know where, Lisa, you can hold that up to the camera, please? So the driveway is illustrated in yellow, is that correct?
That's the right-of-way. We don't own that property, that's the
The
right-of-way.
shared driveway?
I believe that Barbara Missett owns this front portion of the right-of-way, and I believe that Sam Bob owns this back
So
portion
this is
of
the same
right-of-way.
right-of-way we dealt in the Farrell application, is that correct?
Farrell is over here, he's on a flag lot.
Right.
He's not,
You're on a shared road, right?
I'm
Emily?
on a right-of-way.
So I have a question for council. The right-of-way, is that considered a private road? Is it
Yes.
It is considered a private road.
There's no such definition in our code of a right-of-way.
Thought so, okay. So this house is back from the street, technically from Hill Street, approximately how far?
Just under 600 feet,
600 feet off of Hill Street,
correct.
okay. And the driveway from the right-of-way is right there, correct?
Yes, this is the amount of right-of-way that touches our property, and we're coming in,
It's 60 feet?
yes.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. I mean, how wide is the driveway? No, I'm looking, yeah.
Well, the right-of-way where it touches our property is 60 feet. Our driveway itself, entrance, will be 14 feet, what's required.
Brian, have any questions about the architecture?
Can we talk about the materials? What's the roof material?
Cedar shingles,
And the siding?
white cedar shingles.
And the materials?
Glengarry.
The trim materials?
Painted white AZAC.
And the,
Marvin white windows,
Uh-huh.
Glengarry Danish brick chimney.
okay. And are there gates in this application?
No, they're not.
Okay. And is there a landscape plan?
Not at the moment.
Is there,
There are pictures in the file of all the neighbors.
okay.
I also have some pictures of
And the
some
pool
color
house,
pictures.
what's the ridge height of the pool house?
The ridge height of the pool house is 15 feet,
Okay, and the ridge height of the main house?
35 feet.
35 feet.
And the ridge height of the garage is 14 feet.
Okay, and it's 600 feet back from the road.
600 feet back from Hill Street, correct.
Okay, and the 14-foot side yard that you have on the what would it be on the south side? Is that the closest boundary that the house
GFA.
has?
The 44-foot?
Oh, sorry, the side yard, what is the, a little bit towards me?
Towards you?
There. Yeah, what's that?
That's 20 feet.
20 feet, okay. I don't have any issues with this house.
Any public comment on the
I
application?
have one question real
Sure.
quick. Your columns, you have
Yes,
a lot of them. They looked a little narrow to be paneled. What size are they
Well, I was thinking that they would be like 8 inches. You think that's too narrow for
for panels? They do.
You think 10 would be,
Or no panels?
or no panels?
No panels.
I kind of like the panels.
I know, they're on all your houses.
Wow.
Just look, I think you should just look at that.
Okay.
Public comment, please. One at a time,
Okay, one at a
please.
time, guys. Just before you say anything, just so you know, my perspective is from the public right-of-way, 600 feet back. For a house that's a cedar house with a light cut and fenestration that's normal, and it's a blank lot, which you have, or that you're next to right now, there's nothing on this lot, right?
There's currently a residence on there now.
So your part of your application is take this residence down, right?
Do we have photos of the existing house? I don't think I do.
Okay, I'm sorry,
It should be in the file.
Please.
Continue. Hi,
Go
good
ahead.
evening.
Good evening.
Patricia Pescott Callhop,
I'm Fred.
and this is Fred
Evening.
Callhop, my husband. And our property is to the north of this, what was a carriage house. I have a house from Hill Street. I've been there 30 years, and my biggest property line is their south border. No, north border.
North.
North border.
North border, okay.
Um,
Do you mind pointing on that where you are?
Fred can do that.
So you're by the pool portion of the house,
Yeah,
pool
the
house and pool?
The pool house and
Okay.
pool.
Are you concerned about pool equipment or view or noise?
All of the above.
Okay.
Because before, it was just a big, open green.
Yeah, believe me, I know, I've got people build right next to me. Where is the pool
Grass.
equipment, Lisa? Can that go inside? Can it be?
It's inside. It's inside.
It's inside, so are you gonna,
It's inside the back half of the pool house.
15 feet.
but it's within the
It's
pool
enclosed.
house?
It's within the structure, correct.
Okay, so it's enclosed.
So do you have any issues with the
My
architecture?
question is, why do they have to build the pool and the pool house so close, every inch to their allowable, what they're allowed to that property line? I mean, my bedroom is right there.
Okay, you're referring to site planning. You're saying in regards to
Yeah.
how close is moving pool houses.
And pool,
What I'm saying is that we're getting a little bit over our jurisdiction.
Out of our jurisdiction.
Out of our jurisdiction. So they've made the concession to enclose the pool equipment so that the noise becomes
Not a
reduced.
concession, but it's a adjustment.
Well, it's a concession. Well, not everyone does it, so it's just a fact.
well,
Find the pictures of
yeah, I
I
am
did.
concerned with those
No,
setbacks.
those I don't have.
The landscaping, I certainly would want to see that.
Okay.
Existing presently.
What the purposes of landscaping for what? Privacy, for,
Privacy
Okay, so you're
and
saying
for
that-
noise.
okay. Well, noise in what area? In terms of cars coming? I'm just trying to get a little more detail what your concerns are.
What was spoken on another
Thank you.
property
Okay.
before.
So-
Was the noise of the pool, the noise of.
Well, there's no noise at the pool
station.
because it's enclosed, the equipment. So there's no pool equipment noise. What is the other noise concern?
It's a 7-bedroom house.
Okay,
So we're talking about a lot of people at the pool,
Okay.
generally. Okay? The other thing is, in that back corner, there are 100-year-old trees that gotta come down. And in that back corner, just the other day, a newborn deer, not that big, they've been in there for God knows how long. So it's a spot where the deers have always come. I've had to put an 8-foot fence over in that corner this year. Now, their survey shows, when I built my house, well, it shows it here, okay, is on my property. There's a 50-foot privet hedge there, that's going, okay? Then there's a whole row of,
Are you saying it's going because,
We don't know if it's
everything is
okay,
going
so
out.
you don't know what the landscape plan is, you're just
Exactly.
assuming it's going, correct?
Exactly.
Don't
gonna
paint
be
it as the worst
wide open.
possible thing, you know? Don't paint it as the worst possible thing, let's
He saw
understand
the
what it is
pictures of
first.
the bushes and he thinks that it's just gonna be bushes. That's just what an architect shows for
Lisa, can
greenery,
you walk
right?
through, can you walk through the landscape plan, or the screening, if you will, of this neighbor, please,
Why
specifically,
don't we
and
just
what you
get a
know?
landscape plan? Yeah.
Working on that.
What's that, Brian?
We just need a
What you
landscape
propose
plan.
in terms of
I
the
just wanna-
site plan?
Can I just add this, that hedge that had been there for a long time is, very thick and old, and it's great, but it's only half of that boundary line. The rest had been a rock garden, had been various trees that over the years have come down. My property was owned at one time by the owner of this carriage house. It was built for his brother, so there was a lot of, they did a common rock garden, they did trees, and when we had to put a fence for our pool, when we added that, we did have to go into their property, right? Because
We agreed,
rather than to move
rather than take
trees,
the trees out.
they
We
agreed to
go
that.
around the
And we
trees.
had a C of O on
All
that.
those trees gotta come out.
Gone.
The other thing is, there is a 10-foot easement across my property to supply water to this property.
You gonna cut them off?
Suffolk County Water has got an easement across my property to bring water
Just
to
cut 'em
this.
It's
off.
common, it's common, yeah.
So I don't know whether they're
Cheaper
gonna
to
use
go
that
from
water.
Harvest Lane to
Are
them
you gonna
than
use
Mill
that water,
Street.
or are you gonna come from?
Well, I mean, we're really getting out of our
This is the
jurisdiction.
first. Come on. This is
No,
the
no,
first.
no. We're really getting out of our jurisdiction.
In the Southampton.
Water easements, and I just want to make sure that we stay focused on the concerns this board can legislate.
Well, they are, okay, concerns.
So
that
the
need
concerns
to be
are
addressed before.
privacy for purposes of visual impact over our noise.
Noise.
Both.
Both.
Before we get to the landscape plan, this is the first time I'm seeing a photograph of the existing house. I'd like to know a little bit about the existing house. And I wish that our historic consultant were here because,
It is not, it's not listed, it's not, it was reviewed by the building department, and there's no issue in.
What was the age of the home?
It's not on the Sanborn map. I have a copy of that,
You know
but
the age?
I don't know exactly.
I mean, it doesn't look historic, but I'm sure, our
I
historic
mean, it was
consultant.
determined that it was not a problem. He
Who determined?
the building department.
Really? Interesting.
And I have a copy of the Sanborn
Do you
map.
have the other photograph, please, Mr. Chair?
it's the same.
Same photograph.
No, it's not. Is it?
Yes, the same photograph.
Okay, sorry.
And they're going from that carriage house to 2.5 stories. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
2.5 stories.
As of right, we had that conversation earlier. It's an unfortunate situation. A lot of
Although some of them you
a
did
lot of
like.
very charming homes are being
Yeah.
torn down. It's just unfortunately the environment that we're in right now, and they're allowed to do so. We do the best we can, but you understand something. We will not allow ourselves to legislate areas that we don't have jurisdiction. Okay? So as of right now, these are the concerns.
Those setbacks are all, I gather, within their legal rights.
Absolutely.
Well,
But my
our
question
assumption
is, when
that
you
the
have all that
file is-
lawn, why do you have to build out right to the edge?
The assumption
Because
is
they-
that the application is complete, inclusive of the setbacks, but you can't be responsible as a board for that exact setback, but you can request that of the building department. Okay? You're a licensed architect in New York State. Are the setbacks qualifying within?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So with regards to the noise, the pool equipment has been addressed because it's enclosed. It's no longer a concern.
Well, I have the exact same situation behind me, where the pool is 20 feet, and then the patio.
Okay?
My garden is on the other side of those hedges. I have to take my hearing aids out, otherwise I hear all their conversation, because there's normal people talking. It is right in your,
It's right in your yard. Now, in this case,
really
on that
in your-
boundary line, we have from our den, probably our the most used room, den office, and the master bedroom is a deck with a hot tub.
I understand, and it's.
So we
it's-
are close to that boundary line.
And what
of
happens
living.
is, unfortunately, you have lot overlapping lot, overlapping lot, overlapping lot. The history of Southampton Village. Narrow lots, small lots, and unfortunately, the entertainment, you hear individuals. Don't think there's much we can do about that. We can't legislate noise.
I have a,
What we can try to do is the applicant can give detail in terms of whatever the proposed landscape plan is. And that's what we will determine as being adequate. But we can't legislate how much noise you hear from the neighbors entertaining in their backyard.
14 people are very quiet.
Not the 14 people that come to my house.
Board, I have a question. If they would consider moving that pool further back.
That would be their discretion,
Okay.
but it's not this board's jurisdiction to force them to do so.
The,
Can you guys move the pool?
The garage?
Do you need to switch tapes? Battery, okay. So we're off right now?
No, you're on yet.
Okay.
Is the garage supposed to be 15 feet?
Yes, sir.
Because on the survey I have, it says 11 feet and 10 feet.
In the original application, we did have it at 11 feet.
Yeah.
Because the code allows you to go to 5 feet for a garage, but we have moved it to 15 feet.
Okay.
And it's only 14 feet tall.
I don't care.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, what about that water easement? Who do you go to for that? Are they going to use it, or now, because there's so many houses that have come
If
in
you,
from that
I'm
right
sure
away?
that she will give you a business card, and you can give her a call.
I have her
and-
number.
Yeah.
She was very
I
helpful.
would speak to the
And
building
just speak-
department,
and-
with the village attorney.
We have nothing to do with easements between applicants, and obviously, again, I don't want to get the conversation way out of the scope of our jurisdiction.
Now, when will we see the planning?
The planting,
A landscape plan.
we're working on an actual landscape plan, but it
Okay.
will be heavily screened.
Okay. Any other public comment? Please step
Hopefully
forward.
not with a picket.
Okay, let's go.
Good evening, Eric Bregman, Farrell Fritz, representing Bob Pressman, who lives and owns the property immediately south of the subject premises. I can point out on the map. If I have this right.
Right in the middle.
Here, and this is the subject premise. There are two things. I'd like to talk about some legal issues related to, as you said, Mr. Chairman, there are architectural issues and there are code issues. And in this case, they're related. I'm not going to bore you with a whole long discussion of zoning issues, but this is an extremely large house. It uses every bit of density that is possible as they have construed the zoning issues.
I'm sorry, you say they have?
Used every bit of coverage and gross floor area.
As they have a right to do?
As they have a right to do, as they've conceived the zoning issues.
Correct.
That's why there's an interaction. And
Correct.
I want to
Zoning,
speak
you
to-
mean?
Pardon?
Zoning itself, not issues, right?
Well, he
I
considers
think
them
there
an
are
issue.
issues
There
of
are,
zoning,
okay, understand.
and my
Thanks, sir.
interpretation of the zoning and how it applies is different than what they've presented to you.
Understood, thank you.
All right. Besides the regular gross floor area, there's an additional 450 square feet on the quote-unquote third floor or half-story, 2 bedrooms and a bath up there. There are 9 bedrooms altogether in the house, at least according to the application.
So what you're saying is what's being presented as a house to be used, when the application went in front of the building department, is interpreted differently by you guys than it is by them, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so what does that have to do with this board
Well,
specifically?
there are 2 interactions. Specifically, you've said you can't say a house has to be smaller than it's allowed under zoning. That's your position, all right?
Right.
We have prepared, and that's what I've handed out to you,
Okay.
an application for, if you will, an appeal to the zoning board of the building department's determinations regarding this.
So you're asking us to hold our judgment until that determination is done by the ZBA?
I'm asking you to hold it in two different ways.
Okay.
One, I don't know if you remember Mr. Pressman. He was very much involved in the Farrell project
Yeah,
just
no, we do.
nearby.
We know. He's a great guy, too.
And
He's right behind you.
Of course. I even recognize my client. But
yes.
And you know from that, those of you who went through it, that he's not anti-development, and he worked very hard to get that
Successfully.
project successfully to get it working. So
You filed this appeal?
I have not, and that's what I'm trying to explain. It's
I
forgive
mean,
me.
what you're asking us to do is put something in delay that you haven't even gone through a process. Counsel, I mean.
I think we should perhaps let him finish.
Let's let him finish the second
Well, I
point.
want to go over the legal aspect of holding an application.
Well, I want, if
He hasn't asked
if
us
you would
that.
let me get to the
He's just asking
semicolon,
and explaining.
I'm trying to explain this to you. All right?
Please. You
I
had
did
said 2
not,
points, right?
I did not know that Mr. Tohill was involved, and in fact, I understand he was just retained very recently. So we might have talked ahead of time tonight. But I'm asking you to adjourn this for 2 reasons. One is to give us time to see if Mr. Pressman and Mr. Gary can reach an accommodation similar to the Farrell accommodation. And I mentioned that history because, as you know, it was very successful. 2, we were ready to file that this afternoon, but we wanted to not file it so we could have those discussions and perhaps try to reach an accommodation. Now, if it makes a difference to you, I'll file it tomorrow. I don't think that's the most efficient way to proceed because at least there's a possibility of accommodation between Mr. President.
So
That's why
his-
we didn't file it. We
So
were
the
ready to file it.
applicant's issue has to do with the number of bedrooms, size, or architecture?
It has, in here, and we've explained it, there are 2 issues. One is the garages in the front yard. I understand that the building department's interpretation is that when you have an access like this one, you measure only for accessory structures from the access road.
Okay.
I think that's dead wrong under the code. The code says that you can't have excuse me, you can't have a garage or any other accessory structure in the front yard.
So you're saying that the house, if it were designed that way, would not be presented as such on this application? It would
That's
have
right.
to be presented in another way?
That's exactly
Got it.
right.
And those are the 2 points you
No,
have?
that's the first point.
Okay.
The second point, I mean,
Right. I understand.
the first point is to talk to you about the timing and our wish to see if there can be some discussion with Mr.
And the second
Gary's-
is 2 points of zoning.
And then there are 2 points of zoning.
Got it.
Thank
Okay. Thank
Right.
you.
One is that this is in the front yard, the garage,
Understood.
rather, is in the front yard. And
Yep.
if that has to get moved, that could change the entire design and site plan. And 2 is that the patio, which I understand is surrounding the swimming pool and pool house,
Mm-hmm.
is not included in coverage.
Is it under 12 inches? Then it doesn't need to be.
It is, but it doesn't need to be. This is not Southampton Town, this is Southampton Village. If you look at the code says that lot coverage includes everything.
Okay, so your argument is threefold then, inclusive of the third argument of being the lot coverage may be completely null and void due to your interpretation of the patio, and the applicant's interpretation that the patio is less than 12 inches rather, and doesn't need to be a
Yes,
part of that calculation.
My position is there is no 12-inch rule in the Southampton Village
Understood.
Code.
So you
all
have
right?
3 issues essentially, all related to zoning, that you're requesting us to consider that could change, in 2 cases, could change the design of the house because it might be in violation or in a difference
Yes,
of the code.
but I'm not asking you to make those zoning decisions. And I'm not asking, and Mr. Chairman, this is, again, why we didn't file this yet, because this is an application that I don't think anybody wants to particularly fight about with the zoning board or even litigation after that. So we are hoping that we don't have to file it, and that We don't have to challenge the building inspector's acceptance.
So you're
of-
requesting for an adjournment to speak to to Mr. Toho, who's representing, is that right, guys? So are you requesting an adjournment?
Time, wait.
Right. Yeah, okay.
So the public comments. Is there anything else that, other than?
So I wanted you to understand the legal, because you very eloquently talked about a number of things. One is the huge size of some of the houses, and you're concerned about it. And you expressed that much more eloquently than I can, right? But two, you said, there's an interaction, that there's a zoning issue and the architectural issues.
Correct.
Right? And I'm telling, my position is that the zoning issues here would change very much the size of this house, which is very, very large and squeezes every possible square inch. And
I'd
so,
like to look at that.
and you have a.
The reason why I, and I'm speaking only for myself, would consider adjourning the application, say, it's the first time we've seen the application.
Well, I
B,
actually don't, I don't.
And hold on, and B, there have been community or neighbor concerns that need to be vetted out, and they would have to have the opportunity to be reviewed. So, under those constraints,
Got another member.
I
of the
would
public.
say yes. I would be in favor of going for an adjournment with the understanding that during that process you guys would discuss and deliberate, but only on that, not on any potential zoning concerns or issues unless you've addressed them as being such and they've been determined as being violations.
I'd like to see the applicant, however, ask for that adjournment because of the
You don't have a
information that they
landscape
need.
plan.
Because we don't have a landscape plan.
I mean, there are.
And the landscape plan.
And I think that that's
So the
what's
app-
on the board right now, is the request of a landscape plan by itself should allow you enough time to interpret the, but we still have other members of the public to
But no, and
discuss.
Mr. Pressman would like to speak to the architectural issues, which are more up here. I was trying to set the scene, if
And
you
did
will.
a great job, Eric. But
And if-
well, let's move on, it's 10 o'clock at night.
It sounds like we're adjourning it unless you.
We're adjourning it in any case, so
So
if
it's
you
your
want to wait till
discretion
the
if you want
next
us to
meeting,
present.
Bob, and give us a little bit of a break. Ann's behind you, I know you're living right in the village.
You know what, let me have 1 minute, and then I'll sit down.
Sure.
I'm gonna be very brief.
Okay, thank you.
Well, if we're going to, there may be issues that we're fighting about that we wind up not fighting about.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so why
You guys are going to be
discuss it?
talking in
I'll reserve the
person.
comments until, if we have an issue.
Why don't you reserve comments until they're going to come
Thank
up
you,
with
it's 10
information
o'clock.
anyway. Ann, would you like to speak?
I'm good.
Very good.
Besides the landscape plan, it's also 10 o'clock.
Okay, if no one else is
Any other
gonna
public
speak-
comment?
Okay.
And could we, if we do adjourn, and I think Mr. Toho agrees to June 22.
We'll see if what the
I
applicant
won't
requests.
see you again then.
Well,
It's up to the street.
Yeah, well, I'm away.
So he's away for 10 days starting.
You're willing to do so?
He's going to Amsterdam. Where are you going?
Oh, forget about
22nd is my
it.
birthday. June 22nd is my birthday.
We'll
Okay.
accommodate the trip to Amsterdam. There's a price to be paid. but-
All right, guys,
Okay.
it's 10 o'clock, okay, please.
So when it is adjourned to?
Exactly.
When is the
It's not yet. Just take-
22nd.
just take-
We haven't adjourned it yet.
Yes.
Not technically.
I'm Ann Pine, and I am the neighbor right
This is your pen.
here. So, in this relation. I'm not concerned about being a neighbor. I went through this with Mr. Pressman, with Mr. Farrell. I'm concerned with the neighborhood, which in my opinion should be your concern because the word neighbor is really not in your code. Neighborhood is. And I just want to be sure, I very much want an adjournment because I have serious issues about height. I'm not going to get into this business that you said which trumps which. That's under litigation. You've all hung your hat on Mr. Robinson's belief.
Okay, are we
that-
asking for an adjournment? Because we'd
no,
love to
I want an
adjourn.
adjournment,
Okay.
but I want to be sure when we reopen that I don't have what I had before where they make a deal that they like and then,
There wouldn't be any deals, man. I make a
well,
motion
there
for
was
an
one,
adjournment.
there was one
I
with
think
Mr.
we should
Pressman.
let
She
her
hasn't,
finish.
she's finished. She's
There
asked for
was
adjournment. It's simple
before,
as
there
that.
was a deal made with the 5 neighbors, and I don't want that to happen again and have my concerns, which have to do with neighborhood,
Right.
eliminated because a deal has been made.
It's fine.
So I would like to be sure that you remain
As a
open.
member of the neighborhood,
Yes.
have the right to voice your opinion, concerns to this board about any application
So
before this
I
board.
will wait
Understand.
until the next
But
meeting.
understand, this board still has the responsibility of ruling in its own decision and how we feel is best for the community.
That is correct, but I like to get on the record and hear you all say this is too big for its lot, so-and-so, but we can't do anything about it. I like to hear you say that on the record, because should you lose in this litigation, or should you rush to judgment over this, you know, there's a lot of litigation you're going to get on the other end. Class action suits throughout Southampton. If you lose on whether the ARB can trump the ZBA or whether it can't. We had one case, you say cases, I only know of one, the Ferrara case, which was poorly argued, and it was never appealed. But you take it as law. And you're selling these neighborhoods out on the basis of one case. And if the litigation now going on and further goes on proves that the ARB can trump the ZBA, you have a lot of cases on your hand.
Understood.
Okay.
And we have a lot
Good.
to review.
Right. I'm happy as long as,
We're gonna.
It's being
yeah,
adjourned.
got it.
I don't know if you want
And
to.
you're requesting an
You want to
adjournment on your
respond to the.
application, correct?
Okay, I would.
I don't want to argue it, I'm just.
Sorry?
June 22nd.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the applicant's request for an adjournment, Robert Geary, 475 Hill Street, until June 22nd.
All in favor?
All in
Aye.
favor, aye.
Okay.
Thank you. Recall Flywheel Sports.
Flywheel Sports? Okay. So you guys know we've adjourned this, and we're waiting for...
Can you give me the sign permit for the Flywheel, please?
A lovely journey on the jitney that was not so lovely. I'm deeply, deeply sorry for missing.
You're here, fine. No worries.
My name is Brittany Cornelius. I'm here on behalf of Flywheel Sports in regards to the signage for the Southampton location that is being added
I think it
in
looks
June.
great. I've already seen the application.
And the application was submitted on the 21st, and I do have some other options, as I believe was requested as well, for the pylon curb cut.
This is for the sign, right?
Signage, yes. It's
Okay.
two different signs. It's a curb sign and then storefront.
So there's two storefront signs.
Oh, two storefront signs, correct.
Are they letters or decals?
Letters,
They're letters, so they're individual letters? The
correct.
size of the letters?
They are on here. They are to be 12 inches tall.
Okay. Are they backlit or showing any type of illumination at all?
No.
Will there be any type of goose down lighting, lanterns, or anything?
No,
Towards the
they're,
side?
it's just metal powder coat letters that are already using existing mount studs.
Okay,
So
and the drive-through, the curve sign.
will be vinyl applied to the existing sign.
Why, it's not backlit, it's not, no illumination to the sign at all?
Only vinyl added.
Okay, any questions about the sign permit? Brian?
No, I'm fine
Christine?
with it.
Esther?
What is Never Coast?
Never Coast is our logo. That is
your logo.
that is our mantra. That's our
Always be spinning the wheel.
I'd like to take the Never Coast
Push
out
yourself.
and just have the flywheel.
Never Coast, even at 10 o'clock.
So Never Coast is an advertisement for your company?
It is. It's our tagline.
Slogan.
Yes.
Well,
It's our
I-
slogan.
We would ask that you remove that.
Then I have other options.
I knew you would.
Wonderful.
I got it. I'm here. I'm ready. These are these are duplicates. There's two sets.
Do you have anything without the Never Coast on it?
That's what she's showing.
Giving it to us.
The first is preferred. We like the blue backing, but I put another one into submission as well.
And the white backing is another option?
White background with blue lettering.
59 inches by 60 inches. It's 5 feet by...
I think it's great.
I think it's
really great.
Sold.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take that back before it's part of the file.
What was red too?
So just for clarification, we're going to show a photograph of the one that we're approving.
Not backlit or at all.
Not black. Nope. Vinyl application
Great.
to
I'll make a motion to
existing
approve the application of flywheel with the white background.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Sorry.
Minutes of the
I'm
meeting?
sorry.
It's okay, you're the one that had to wait.
All
I'll
right.
sneak up
Minutes
on
from-
you at the end.
Okay. Minutes from the meeting of April 27th. Who's present?
No chair and no Esther, so.
Yeah, here.
Board members had the opportunity to review.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Motion, any
Fine.
issues?
No.
Motion to approve.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for April 27th, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And minutes from May 11th. Sorry?
We don't have them yet.
Any, sorry?
Do we?
Yeah, we have them.
Yeah.
See them?
So you didn't see them. Every other board member had the opportunity to review.
I saw.
Any issues?
Nope.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for May 11, 2015.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And motion to close this evening's meeting.
Okay, you do it,
I make a
Esther.
motion to close the meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation for May 27, 2015.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good night.
Good
Good night.